How is our audio? I don't like how tight that is. My cords are too tight. Are you guys here? We are anti-animal use here at PSU Farmers Market in Portland, Oregon. I see there's some people in here, but are you hearing us? Hello, U-Tops. What's up? Just want to make sure we have audio, or am I going in and out? Audio good? Audio bad. Audio good. Okay, good. I just want to verify because, I don't want to get talking and then find out it's not doing anything. Yeah. All right. So I'm VSL. You can find me on all platforms. We're here in beautiful PSU, Portland, Oregon. Going to ask some of our neighbors about oppression, exploitation, who deserves which. And just seeing if they're living in alignment with that. I'm going to pass the mic. I got Minx with me.
I'm Minx. It's militant_Minx on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm happy to be here.
Yes. We have a couple other members coming. They're just running behind right now. You'll see them as they pop in. But what we do here is we just talk to people. We hold signs. We ask people to have conversations with us about veganism ultimately and respecting other animals the way we demand to be respected. And, try to see where they're maybe being held up, what's holding it back from living in alignment with their own principles. But until then, we talk to you because we want to know what you're thinking. Did you want either of these ones or did you want a different one? I just pulled out two.
I'll grab a different one.
Okay.
I like that one.
Oh, you can have this one.
Oh, okay.
I go with either one. I honestly just grabbed one. Awesome. So my sign says fair or not fair. Test yourself now. And then we talk about the powerful versus the powerless. Minx has this is one of my favorite ones. I like this one because on the other side it says, come talk to me, I'm doing a social experiment. And then you flip it over, it's like the question is right there. So come talk to me, doing a social experiment, and should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless? If you're ever interested in these signs, Alexandria makes these. I can't remember Alexandria's last name, but she's the radical vegan. Go find her on Right Loud Vegan. It's in German, but she has a button that makes it English. And she provides all the files so that you can download the posters. Oh my gosh, my brain just farted because Luke just walked up. What's up, Luke? You want to say hi real quick?
Hello, everyone. I'm Luke. Thanks for being here.
Yes. Excellent. All right. So I just want to know, who's in here? If you're vegan, put a 1 in the chat. And if you're not vegan, put a 2 in the chat. Appreciate seeing the hearts. If you could tap that heart, share, like the live. You can spam green hearts at me. You can spam veggies at us. Yas. Okay. I'm seeing my vegans. What's up? Hey, vegan heretic. Spooky. Good to see you. PJ. Ben from Berlin. Is Daniel Broccoli there? Not. I don't think he's coming today. Hey, Cooper. Elvin. Hi. Oh my gosh, it's been so long now.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Daniel told me he was coming, but that was yesterday afternoon.
Oh, Daniel might be here. That's exciting. Okay. Well, damn, the team is growing. Mm-hmm. Cooper, please say something.
Hello, I'm here.
You're here.
Looking forward to have some conversations with Portlanders about justice and animals.
Yes, I'm so excited to see you guys. Oh, it's so good to see you. All right, guys, let's see. Looks like we're just vegans in here for now. Yes, Elvin. Spooky's like,
Hello. Okay.
Yes. Hey, bean juice.
It's been a while for me.
I know, right? Got to get back into that. You got to warm up. Yes, great team. What's up, Johnny Vegan Seed? Good to see you. Oh, no. You okay? All right, well, make sure you guys are tapping and let's get some people in here. We're hoping to get some conversation started. If there's anybody that's not vegan in there, if you feel comfortable, please let us know what's holding you back. Maybe we can address it, answer it. I mean, yeah, Portland likes to be known as weird, so there's nothing wrong with that. But it's more like, I don't know, I would say that most Portlanders are very avidly for human rights. At least most of them, I would say. But I see you say you're not conservative. What do you have against Portland? I love Portland. We're like one of the top vegan places. So many vegan restaurants. You can have vegan burgers. And I mean, women, if they choose to be whatever body type they want to be, they can do that on a vegan diet. Portland is great. Sometimes gray skies, sometimes really sunny. It's always pretty. Love that we are surrounded by trees. I think that's what keeps people sane, is being in nature. Yes, exactly. You tops. We got me, Anna. We got Minx, which I believe Minx spells with a KS. Luke, Elvin, Cooper, and maybe Daniel. I believe Rebecca is on her way as well. We'll have close to a full team. We're just missing Pam. I feel like there's someone else we're missing too. Who else are we missing? Nick. We're missing Nick. Yeah, so why aren't you guys vegan? So veganism is an ethical stance, thank you for bringing it up. Veganism is an ethical stance against the exploitation of sentient beings. So I don't want to demand someone's exploitation. Big, you must be like an 8-year-old child. Go ask your mommy why you shouldn't be in here. You could eat Satan and not the animals. Isn't that great? You don't have to exploit someone. So the reason why you should be vegan is because animals care about what happens to themselves, just like you and me. We inherently care about our lives extremely, and we want to avoid harm. And, we look forward to that next positive experience. I was going to say, I didn't pull out all the signs. Just like us, they want to live. They want to live free of harm, right? They just want to have that next positive experience. And what then gives you the moral justification to invade that, to interrupt that, to exploit them for your benefit? Yeah, so if plants' lives matter and we need to care for their welfare, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you would eat the plants directly. We grow more plants to feed the animals that you exploit. So if you care about plant welfare, you would still live vegan. Yes, this is an outdoors farmers market. We're here in Portland, Oregon at the PSU Farmers Market. And we're just having conversations with our neighbors, asking them questions, seeing what's up. Yeah, slave labor is a tragic possibility. Yes, I see. Yes, that's a great way to put it. It's a possibility, whereas like when you buy animal products, it is a certainty that there was death and exploitation. Absolutely, yeah. No, I like my nose. Yeah, I don't want to exploit anybody, and I think we should improve our systems, how we grow our crops, who's gathering them. Everyone should be treated fairly. But I don't have control over that. All I can do is this product does not demand exploitation to be made. You don't need exploitation to make vegetables. You do need exploitation to make anything from an animal. You have to steal it from them. So we can improve our plant systems, but we cannot improve exploiting animals. It will always be unfair for them. Always. I've been not exploiting animals for 10 years now and thriving. I live in a really special corner of the world. Portland has a lot of vegan options. We have 2 fully vegan grocery stores, which is really lucky. And we have vegan festivals. We have a vegan night market. Yeah. There are homeless people everywhere. That's something that definitely Portland, being so proud to be for human rights, that's honestly a shame in our town, is that we still have people living on the streets that don't want to be. And that should be remedied for sure. But what's good to know is that, hey, what's up? What's good to know, though, is even homelessness, you don't have to cross your principles here. We have a vegan food bank. It's called Food Not Bombs. They provide vegan meals twice a week, and they provide vegan groceries twice a week. They actually come here to the farmers market, and they collect the produce that doesn't sell, and they give that away as groceries. And they're always vegan. So I live in a very special corner. Yeah, so veganism isn't about hurting yourself to help others. It's about doing what you can and not demanding someone's exploitation to the best of your ability. Because I genuinely don't want to support exploitation, not because I want to be a part of a group. Yeah, so regardless of something tasting right, what matters more, taste pleasure or someone's life? Oh, why don't you do that? If you care about homeless, then let them come into your house. Like, if you're telling me that I have to do it, then why don't you do it? I am vegan, so why aren't you vegan? So regardless, like, I have a hand, right? This can make a fist. I can punch people. Does that give me the right to do that just because I have this? Same thing with my teeth. These little pathetic things don't give me the right to exploit somebody. Would you want to be exploited because I have canine teeth? I'm not vegan because I low-key don't want to. Oh, it's funny that you came in here to tell me that. Do you have some guilt? I mean, most people, truly, if you don't care, you just swipe. You just keep going. But if you do care and you take the time to take your fingers and type out a little message and make sure everything's correct, it tells me you do care. Yeah, we're talking about veganism. We're talking about respecting others, because we all care about living and what happens to ourselves. So we have a pretty decent sized group in here now. If you're a vegan, type a 1. If you're not vegan but curious, type a 2. And if you're not vegan and just in here to tell me that you're not vegan, put a 3. Oh, yes. Oh, I don't have my thing on my hip. That's hilarious. Nice. I don't know where I put my cards. I literally had them. Oh, there it is. My little hip pouch. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Snap. There we go. Now we're ready. Now we're armed with information. A 4, somebody doesn't know how to follow instructions. You don't need to do it so many times. Okay. Okay. So those that said that they're not vegan, can you give me a short blurb about why you're not? Maybe I can address it. I'm not here to fight people. I'm here to honestly answer questions. Exactly, Last King. That is exactly the definition. Veganism is a philosophy and lifestyle that seeks to exclude all forms of animal exploitation and cruelty.
Are you willing to? We have it on like a YouTube live.
Yeah.
For like wallflowers or anybody who's watching to maybe has the same thoughts or critical questions.
This is going to be super optimistic.
That's
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, we'll go right here. It's facing this way. We can go right here. Then that'll be perfect. Okay,
nice color.
First of all, oh yes, we get called out for it all the time, but it's whatever. I don't know how people think they, always want to assume something phallic, but anyway.
No, it's a color of power.
Yes, exactly. So, okay. Oh, shoot. Maybe scoot this way a little bit. And that's perfect. Okay, my name's Elvin. What's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So our question says, should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless? You said no.
Yeah.
Are there any situations in which you think that answer changes? Like whether we, look a certain way or have,
Boy, not without taking away someone's agency.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And because autonomy is important.
Absolutely.
We value
100%.
consent for each individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the part where it gets a little odd, or it might seem like I'm catching you off guard, but I'm not trying to. It's just something that we don't
Good,
really think
challenge me.
about. Have you ever thought about, social justice in the sense of something that crosses or isn't in, like, within species boundaries, right? Like, it crosses species boundaries, meaning like we'll have the same maybe compassion or moral consideration for somebody who's not of our species.
Boy, it's just a mindset of universal respect for life in general.
Yes, totally.
So, independent of consciousness or what we define as life or the speed at which it goes, it's all
Yeah.
valid.
Well, I think, I guess what I'm getting at more so is, have you ever heard the term sentience before?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, the ability to think, feel, form subjective emotions about
sure,
your
trees
experience,
can feel
right?
pain. There's scientific evidence.
Oh yeah, totally. I've
Just
heard
because you
things
don't
about,
have
like,
a limbic system means you
Yeah.
can still feel pain. But you're talking
Plants and
more
stuff.
like emotional or
And-
like,
well, like-
existential, spiritual, or kind of these.
well, just like other species, right? Like other species of mammals or animals in general, right? We typically, in this society, we ignore their autonomy, or we just don't
Oh, sure,
grow up.
because we think they're delicious.
Yeah, well, yeah, like there's so many things that we gain from animals when we see them as a resource. And so I guess what I want to ask you about today is, have you ever thought about, or would you be willing to consider extending like any, like the same type of social justice and moral consideration that you have for other humans?
I would. Nature has other plans that remove humans from the equation entirely, and nature is just going to nature. It's cold, it's heartless, it's uncaring, it just moves forward. So,
Well, totally.
yeah, I would like to be a little bit better than nature when it comes to that. Show respect for any kind of form of sentience. Boy, oh boy, you're getting into a slippery slope of AI, though, in sentience, and I don't know where that nonsense goes either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's man-made. it feels like it's already at fault
Yeah, I mean,
for
like,
existing.
so like regardless of that, right? We'll put that aside for now. But thinking about animals like cows, pigs, chickens, fish, whatever animal, octopus. We have scientific declarations that prove these animals are sentient. And if sentience is what we value in ourselves as humans, because some people would say it'd be reason. That's the reason we're more superior. But basically, what I like to get at is there's nothing that sets us aside that makes us inherently superior as
Okay,
humans.
I'm sorry, I wasn't fully understanding the impetus of the question. So what does or does not make us special from all the other sentients?
I was about to ask you, yeah.
Okay.
What would you say that there's anything to your knowledge that like makes us more special or more like inherently deserving of life than say a different sentient
If
individual?
anything, less.
Right.
Deserving.
Because I can totally think of a lot of things that humans have done that make us less deserving, for sure.
Sure. The animals, yeah, there's a little bit of vitriol, revenge, maybe here and there that can be observed, but not to the level of humans where it's just naked
Domination.
hatred
Yeah.
of everything else except self, because I don't know, because brains are broken.
Yeah.
Pathways are not firing in the way that other people
Yeah,
do.
and as we see, like supremacist mindsets, like they thrive off of those justifications, those like
Oh, sure, because they're
those-
scared of their own
exactly.
shortcomings.
And even though we already know that diversity and biodiversity is the most healthiest way for anything to grow, so I guess I want to ask, like, so are there any other forms of social justice movements that you personally subscribe to, or maybe try to stay keen on, like anti-racism or feminism or something
there's-
like that?
Not to compare it this way, there's so many flavors to choose from, honestly.
Oh yeah, of oppression.
Righteous anger can be spread everywhere if I so choose.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
gender equality.
Oh, yeah.
Gender fluidity. Human rights.
Yeah.
Animal rights. Left or rights.
Totally.
Those kinds
Yeah.
of things. The 10%
Exactly.
that are left, they don't have a world in which, they can comfortably live in, because 90% of us goons are right-handed or,
Yeah.
amphibious, ambidextrous, not
Ambidextrous,
amphibious.
yeah.
But hold your breath long enough, maybe you can be amphibious.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have seen like studies where like people evolved to grow larger spleens to hold breath longer. But I guess let me pull it back to these animals, right?
So this is really fun, thank you.
Yes, totally. And it's something I hadn't thought about for a really long time. I had thought that like, I was really seeing animals as individuals, but I was seeing them as resources still. Are you aware of about like, not that it's about practice, right? Because I don't want to get too focused on it, but I'll bring it up anyway. Like the
Dude,
conditions
this is your
the
show.
conditions
I'm the
that they
person who
live in,
answers.
the conditions that they live in, or are subjected to, animals in this world. Can you think of a few that like you can honestly say that I wouldn't like to be treated that way, but I know animals are, like, or another species of animal is?
Oh, boy. Well, that takes a lot of study to actually understand what the animals do and don't appreciate for their reality.
Well, just like not even thinking about like how they feel, but just imagining how you would feel in that situation. Like whether it's like an elephant at the zoo. Like if you were in the zoo, would you like? So that could be one. If you didn't.
I
feel
live
like
in a
the zoo
studio
was-
apartment, so I'm very familiar with pacing.
I see. Yeah.
Yes, nervous pacing around and around. But at the same time, there's a safety. It's my sanctum sanctorum where I can go, not Santorum. Nope. Not that guy.
Wait, I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Oh,
with it.
that's quite all right. Rick Santorum. His name got turned into a poop joke, basically.
Oh, okay.
But that's neither here nor there. It's my safe space. So it's a dichotomy of I'm trapped in here, but also I'm safe from the outside
Yeah.
world. And how do I find that balance? Turns out I go and talk to a pink microphone.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
You gotta. Well, community is really important, and we'll actually see that cross species boundaries as well.
It is.
Like,
I'm trying to create it in my building. I just moved in there.
Oh,
and
amazing.
I think I'm failing miserably.
well, shoot. It can take time, Sometimes it,
Putting pictures up on my door.
Well, shoot. So maybe somebody will come by and, it'll make sense.
It's got a number on it, and I'm trying to incorporate puns with the pictures everywhere. So
I see.
the number is 4. Right now, I think it's Grover saying near, and then he's saying 4 instead of far when he's far away.
That's funny.
But yes, community is good.
Yes.
But you were talking about autonomy in animals. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
no.
a train wreck of subject matters.
Oh,
for
no,
me.
this is exactly how it's supposed to go, Like, we're two people talking who have never talked before. So
Yeah.
sometimes, some side...
And I
we might have
really
some
like
side
the
things.
sweater too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thrifted it, of course. Let me see. So, yes, autonomy in other animals, right? Say, when you think about other species and extending solidarity to them, like what do you think that would mean for you? Or what do you think that means in general, even?
Solidarity towards animals as well. That's the question. What I think about. Well, I don't know. I'm having a difficult time fully comprehending the question, or maybe just I'm sorry, because of the situation, I'm a little confused.
Yeah, no worries.
Just trying to gather my thoughts.
I can
and answer
reword
like
it.
a normal human.
No, I
Thank
can
you.
reword it. Yeah. So like when we, as humans, when we see other humans struggling from, maybe they're caged up, or maybe they're being used for certain reasons, like maybe back in the day, like some people were being used for their milk, right? We can imagine humans being used for their milk. We would probably want to extend solidarity towards them by maybe advocating for their well-being and not participating in the systems that see them as a resource, or not participating in the systems that want to use them. For solidarity towards other species, I imagine it to look pretty similar. If we want to be in solidarity with chickens, we shouldn't eat them because we shouldn't be viewing somebody who is an individual and who does have, or who should have autonomy,
Sure,
right?
they're not giving consent for us to eat them, really.
Right. Well, because like animals, they can't. They don't have a verbal,
Sure,
we'll
yeah,
never know
but
100% for sure.
Defining that is going to be a problem that we're not going to solve for a long time.
Well, and then even in that case, right, we would act with, I don't know, not benefit of the doubt, but, act with, since there's some uncertainty.
The doubt of the benefit?
So, yeah, since there's uncertainty, we would just not do it at all, right? Because, even in a case where, we may say maybe some chickens are wanting to give up their body for humans to sustain themselves.
I was suicidal once too.
Right, exactly. So with those people, we would get them help. Even if somebody does, say
Sure.
want to.
So we're turning chickens into Mr. Meeseeks. They just want to serve and then die.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that's how people see animals all
Yeah.
over, all across the board.
Sure. They don't
regardless
know
of
that they're
species.
chickens, I think. They don't, like cats, they don't know that they exist. They
Right.
just are.
Well, yeah.
But
I
that doesn't
mean,
mean you shouldn't be kind to them or show them love and give them agency
Yeah.
as well.
Exactly.
It's a very delicate balance for me because I'm an omnivore. I eat meat unabashedly,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that I don't think about the creatures that I ate and their existence prior to them being in my mouth.
And we're taught to think about them less. Like as we see it's basically propaganda of happy farm animals
Yeah.
on the packages, even though we know
I'm a
ultimately has to happen.
Recovering Christian, I was raised evangelical, so boy, that's a whole other story.
Totally, yeah.
But there was the nightly ritual of praying for the dinner and saying thanks and being grateful for what was provided to us. And in my now recovering secular life, there's still that gratefulness and thankfulness that I have for the food, whether it's
Totally.
animal, vegetable, or mineral.
Yeah.
And it's just this is the circle of life. I'm going to be assuming something that was alive at one point. There's no way that you're not. So be grateful for it giving its existence to you. And
Because we know, like, if for me to have this meal, like somebody's life had to pass. Like,
Sure.
it may be like unfathomable numbers, but at the end of the day, like we know for this piece of meat, like it had to come from somebody. And so with
And
that,
I'm a grosso weirdo that totally believes that scientifically grown meat that doesn't harm any animals is totes legit, and that if it can be done without, again, the harm of anything else, and so be it. I'll eat science meat all day long, especially if it tastes good.
If there's
It's just,
no,
again, it's the agency of the animals.
that's
and,
how I think, right? If there's no exploitation or the least amount that I can, fathom or that I can know of or that I, to the best of my ability, right? If I can make sure that there's no exploitation in my meals or throughout my day, honestly, like I drive an electric car now because I try, to reduce that footprint. Like there's so many ways in which we try to better the world. But I feel like there's one way that we're inherently failing the world because society's built off of this, machine that sees people as product, whether it be human or animals. I, for one,
Existence
think we
is a
should-
product now.
Yeah, right? Because,
Yeah.
like, if you can do something, right, you can provide labor, and that's one of the most, if not the most important thing, like, next to property, like, in this society. So...
I have no property, so I have no value. Womp
Like,
womp.
right. And I'm like, before this was happening, before times were super colonial and things were focused on capitalism, we see lots of like plant-based foodways, right, where people are, on a more plant-based diet, but they're subsisting off of the other animals who are around them. And then I think that's kind of where, at least when I was, as I'm understanding it now, that like the thankfulness and the gratitude part comes from, we acknowledge that like I had to do this and this was a necessity, and like unfortunately like I did use my power over you to like
Exerted that.
Exactly, right. And so what we ask right now in a time like today is like, we ask the questions of like, do we need meat or do we need animal flesh, right? Do we need animals to survive? Because as we've seen plenty of plant-based Olympians now. Plant-based science is coming out saying we can definitely survive. It's actually healthy for all stages of life. So from there, we go into a question of, so what is our moral obligation? Like, should we have a moral obligation to do better for these other species?
We have the minds to create food where it wouldn't require animals. I think we should utilize our minds. We have that gift that other animals don't, so we should utilize that.
And we should even
too.
use it to help them. Like, if there's I've always said, like, if there's carnivore animals who can only survive off of, killing other animals, maybe, like, that's like a shitty way that they've had to evolve because of their condition. They don't have any other way. So we, as humans, right, if we're so smart, like, we should be able to figure out ways to find food for even them. So, like, we definitely shouldn't be participating in, exploitation where, other animals or other species are seen as resources rather than who they are for themselves, right? Would you agree that animals exist for themselves?
Gosh, I hope so.
Like maybe right. I mean, up until the point that a human or somebody else or another animal or another species comes in and says, well, you exist for me. because, and then, we say thank you and we are grateful for the meal.
I guess into the question, do animals know that they exist? Is there that kind of, awareness?
Yeah. And I guess
maybe to a certain extent, I don't know. I have yet to be able to get into the mind of an animal.
I would totally recommend, because they do have some studies. There's a lot of studies on octopuses because they're super smart. I don't know. Humans, they tend to research the species that they think are most valuable, and that typically comes in the form of IQ or human-like features, right?
Right.
But even if we look at an animal, right. What can they provide for us, right? So, the benefits.
Not what can we give them.
Yeah. Exactly. And so animals like the blobfish, may be regarded as, less important or less of an individual than maybe a bear.
It stands in a pillar in my mind for memes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And so people were able to, meme this animal and laugh and care about a blobfish. And some people, it might be their favorite fish now, but I love tardigrades. Right. Well, and there's probably more reasons than, people just be like, oh, I like a blobfish because they're cute. But,
Right, but can it survive in space like a tardigrade?
Yeah. There's definitely there's definitely cool things that other species do that we should regard with high reverence. Holy shoot, some fish can shoot water out of their mouths from underwater to launch at insects in the air so that they then fall and they have a meal. Really sucks for the insects, but
or the way that fish swarm around and it creates that they're all in sync with each other. It's that pack mentality or whatever it's called. I apologize for having to cut this short.
No
I
worries.
just wanted to get some berries and I got
That's
into
totally
a lovely
okay.
conversation. Thank
That's
you so
totally
much.
okay. I'll let you walk away right after this.
Yes.
Part.
Okay. We gotta wrap up.
So, would you agree that animals, since they are what we've seen with science, is they've declared a lot of animals are sentient individuals, meaning they do care about their experience, and that for a lot of people is enough, and I feel like should be enough. It is enough for me because I care about my experience, and as much as we can tell each other as humans are existing or care about our existence or aware we exist, it's the same for any other species of animal, and so what I ask people, to do is to start maybe, or if they're willing to, ask if they're willing to, start seeing animals of different species or start treating them with the same moral consideration that they do other humans, because they really do matter to themselves, if not anybody else, and it's wrong. I feel like it's a moral obligation. Would you say? Would you agree? It's a moral
I
obligation?
absolutely believe so, because we are a part of the circle. We're not outside of it. We are a part of it. We
and
are animals
think of
as
all
well,
the things
so.
we miss out on, in the animal kingdom when we remove ourselves out of it, and fail to see all of the community that they do form. Because these animals, we do have a lot to learn from them. Can I give you a card, Cooper? Do you have a card? I want to give you a card. It has some resources on it and stuff like that. But yeah, I would encourage you to read into speciesism, because that's what we're trying to fight against.
Okay.
And this will talk about veganism as well, because veganism is that's the actual name for the movement of being anti-exploitation, cross species boundaries. It gets muddied as a diet all the time. It's just plant-based.
So lived the vegan lifestyle. And I'm familiar with it. Yeah, and I respect it. I don't know if I'm quite there yet as a person, but I do see the value of it, and I do a lot more incorporating of fruits and vegetables and that kind of thing because of that previous experience with veganism and vegetarianism as well.
Well, and that's the issue. I don't like it next to vegetarianism, because vegetarianism is just the diet, whereas veganism is the anti-exploitation stance, and it gets muddied as a diet, full of plant. Vegetarian
it's
is
the CrossFit of eating food.
Yeah, it's for how, if you're not going to be racist, you just don't say the N-word. It's if you're going to be anti-exploitation, you just don't eat any animal. You're against exploitation everywhere.
Yeah.
So not eating meat or not eating animal flesh or animal byproduct is just another consequence of that. It's not the entire thing, you know. Like there's reasons like we wouldn't go to the I wouldn't go to the zoo because I read into the exploitation that goes on there. You know, like they breed the animals just so that there's an exhibit next year, stuff like that.
Right.
You know?
Besides, we got downtown. It's a bigger zoo. We get to see all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah,
here
I mean,
that
like there's
are
enough
still
humans.
trapped.
There's enough interesting humans to go people watch if you wanted.
Yeah.
We don't need to watch like other species and lock them up.
What was your name again?
My name's Elvin.
Elvin, thank you
What was
so
your
much.
name?
Aaron.
Aaron, nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Nice to meet you
Yes.
too, Elvin. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And thank you for dealing with my nonsense.
Oh, thank you.
Have a lovely day,
Thank
Elvin.
you. Have a great day. Okay. We are at Portland State University Farmers Market. I almost forgot.
Are you good?
That's where we are. Yeah, I'm good. Yes, Portland State Farmers Market.
Sorry, I was trying to air
Woods to Fur. That is where we are. Let's see. What are y'all talking about in here? Let's see. We've got some people. I see Ben. I see Martin. Lots of people. So, how do you guys feel about exploitation? Are we anti-exploitation? Are we for exploitation? Are we against exploitation when it comes to humans or animals or both? Someone says, of course this is in the PNW. Well, yeah, we said it was. Someone says, diet is mostly gut microbiodiversity and how to limit exposures to threats. Genetic mapping is a thing. Learning what is most beneficial to you as an individual is important. Yeah, but science has shown that no human needs animal flesh. And knowing that, you know, like that's after the fact, right? Like if we're going to be anti-exploitation, we're going to be against oppression and against, you know, treating others negatively, right? That should extend across species boundaries. That should extend to other species of animal. Thank you, Spooky. Someone says, I've never been to Portland. I always wanted to go. You should come. You should come talk to us. You should come talk to us about anti-exploitation and animals. It's your world. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Yeah, I mean, imagine all the squirrels out here just trying to get a nut every day. But some human thinks that they deserve, that they exist for them. And so I say, oh, this squirrel exists for my enjoyment, actually. So I'm going to take a pellet gun and see how many squirrels I can hit. Like, that stuff is not, it's not okay. Some says many animals are killed so that pristine fruits and vegetables make it to the store shelves. You are welcome. Well, I would actually not eat vegetables and, well, let's see. Everything you can buy on food section is food. Well, what people just, so what something is not just what its definition is, right? So like what you consider food could be something very different than what I consider food. What you consider food could be somebody who lived and was, you know, breathing and then had their life taken away from them and is flesh. What I see as food is, you know, just plants, like stuff that grows from the ground. Someone says, what basis do you derive your moral ought from? I don't know what that means. I just typically think, you know, what I wouldn't want to happen to me, I'm not going to do to anybody else. Someone says, you ever watch Naked and Afraid? People don't last long without animal protein. Even the vegans that attend the challenge and end up eating something that it's just being grateful for the kill. Yeah, those people have chosen to put themselves in a place of necessity. And then, like, you know, so the point there is people who are living in survival situations obviously have to subsist, you know, maybe their diet with somebody. They could probably do their best to find, I would probably try to do my best to find a bunch of plants I could eat and be fine off that. And I would probably just die without doing so, killing anybody, because I don't see that as fair, especially in a situation like Naked and Afraid where I've actually auditioned to go on a show to be put on an island. Like, then you're gonna, like, you don't deserve life more than the people or the animals who live on that island do, right? Like the people who are already living there, the indigenous animals of whatever island they've sent you to, they deserve to live more than you do because you wanted to have fun and go on an island and kick it like a indigenous person. Do you think all animals should have the same rights as humans? I think we should abolish rights in general. There is no form of rights that some person should have or shouldn't have. People should be living and coexisting without needing somebody else to lay guidelines for somebody else, like whether or not they can take somebody's autonomy away. Someone says, let's be honest, every vegan that in these lives feed, act the same, all seem weak, and when you're trying to sell a narrative, you have to be relatable, and none of you are. So here's the thing, I don't care about being relatable, I don't care about seeming strong either, and I don't care about selling a narrative. Those are three things I don't care about. Three things I do care about: acting consistent in my morals, 2, being anti-exploitation and oppression, and 3, educating others so that I can live in a community that also does so. Yeah, I'm good. And so coming out here every weekend or however long we need to be, until people start to see animals as, or extend their solidarity for social justice movements across species boundaries. Like, how else am I supposed to see that happen in my community unless I do that, right? Oh, wow, that's so crazy. PJ says, Not Afraid 30-day special. Vegan lady did all 30 days without a single piece of animal. That's hilarious. Someone says we're goofy. What's goofy is treating animals like resources and objects instead of the people that they are, because they exist for their own, they exist for themselves. Someone says, bro, God, blah, blah, blah. God created animals to eat us and to be eaten. Okay, so do you recognize we're animals in that sentence? And with the, to be truly benevolent, like, should we not take care of the earth instead of dominate it and control it? Were Native Americans in the Americas wrong for hunting and eating animals? Why just the Americas? You realize there's indigenous people global around the world, right? And so if you want to break up indigenous people, you better be indigenous, 1. And 2, you better think about the indigenous people all around the world, because there's indigenous people who were plant-based. They were on at least majority plant-based diets, stuff like that.
When we talk to chat?
Yeah, sure. We'll swap it.
Hello to the chats. Hello to YouTube and TikTok, respectively. For anybody curious and who's joined more recently, we are in Portland, Oregon. This is the Portland State University Farmers Market. We're having conversations with the public about animals and justice. I want to ask you in the chat, what is your justification for exploiting animals for any reason in 2026 when you have another option? What would justify exploiting them for their flesh or eggs or milk or entertainment or clothing or testing for any reason if we don't need to? What do you think?
Forgot to mention also, hey to the chat, I'm here. If anybody was been off camera.
Grass-fed human. Somebody says it tastes damn good. So when you talk about one of your senses and getting satisfaction, that means sensory pleasure. And I want to ask you, do you think that your personal sensory pleasure is a good enough reason to exploit and kill a sentient being? What do you think? Somebody says, we broke, we need food. I understand that money sucks. Capitalism is not an ethical system. And we practice an anti-capitalist ethic here as well as a vegan ethic. But if affordability is your concern, Oxford University conducted a study and determined that we can save up to 30% on our grocery bills if we focus on whole foods, plant-based diets, which include foods like potatoes, beans, rice, local fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, tofu, tempeh, seitan. If we focus on those foods, we can actually save money on our grocery bills. So certainly affordability isn't a barrier to a plant-only diet, but for those folks who are in a situation of not having funds to get to a grocery store, we also recommend a Food Not Bombs organization. They will provide free mutual aid within communities. They're trying to disconnect food from the profit motive. They're just giving food directly to the people who need it in our communities. And it's all plant-based, it's all vegan. So if money is a barrier in that sense, Food Not Bombs is a great organization to turn to. Somebody says eating animals is weird. I'm not sure if it's normal or weird, but we're definitely here to say it's unethical. It's not acceptable to eat an animal when we don't need to. Because would it be fair to do that to a dog or a cat? And if not, what would be the difference between, say, a dog and a fish that would make it justified to exploit the fish, but not the dog? What do you think? Somebody says your pink mic says it all, so getting some compliments on the mic. It's very typical. I want to ask everybody here to double tap that screen, share the live as well if you can. All right. Does anybody want to? Yeah.
Interview? Awesome. Awesome. I'll interview you. Yeah, so I'll have you step right into that pink square right there. Make sure we're in frame. Awesome. My name's Anna. What's yours?
Kathy.
Kathy, lovely to meet you.
You too.
What brings you out here on this kind of cloud-covered day?
Well, our kids are going to go to Portland State University in the fall, so we're super excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, especially to be connected to this farmer's market on top of that. Like, that's just a perk. Well, so I'll get to, did I tell you, my name's Anna. Did I say that? Okay. I always sometimes blast right past that, so I want to make sure that I introduce myself. So we're asking people about the dynamics between the powerful and the powerless. Not so much that the dynamic exists, but more, do you think it's fair, or do you think the powerful should have the right to oppress, which means to use unfairly? Do you think they should have the right to oppress those that don't have that same advantage as them?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I think most of us will agree with that. What about if the oppressor is like really strong? Do you think that gives them the right to do what they want to them?
No.
Yeah. All right, here's a weird one. What if the oppressor is maybe another species? Like, let's say a human to a dog.
Oh, right. I see.
Yeah. Like if I wanted to, it's grotesque, but let's say I wanted to kick a dog for fun.
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
Yeah, that'd be terrible, right? Do my benefits, my enjoyment, maybe even my exercise, do those matter more than the dog's experiences?
That's a good question. No, I think the animals should be treated well, although I have to admit I do eat meat.
Yeah.
But I try to get meat that is raised responsibly and like raised on grass so that it preserves pasture land and humanely raised.
I hear you.
But that's not always. I don't know that I always do that. So but I did just buy some of Lucinda's mix, so I'm pretty excited
I've
about
gotten
that.
so many of her burgers. They're so good. So when we go out of our way to get these high welfare products that come from animals, right? Why are we looking for that high welfare?
Well, yeah, because they deserve to be treated well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We still care about their experiences, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we need from other animals that would justify what we do to them?
Well, we can get all the nutrients we need from vegetables. I know when you combine certain kinds of plants, you can get all the amino acids that you need and all that.
Yeah,
so
like a grain with a legume.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So you can do that. So yeah. So
So I'll rephrase the question in case we forgot. Do you think there's anything we need from animals, or is there some justification you can think of that justifies what we do to animals?
yeah. Good question.
That's a toughie. I'll tell you what.
That's my wife.
Right? I might have you guys just take a step that way.
I do. It's tricky. Yeah, because like I'm thinking of say science. If there's a way to test something humanely. I don't know how possible that is.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say the most humane thing would be with someone's consent, right?
Right, that's true,
Yeah.
and you can't get that from an animal.
Yeah, and we do test on humans either way. Like when we do test on things, we have to do human trials. There are newer technologies too that are actually superior to animal testing now.
Yeah,
But we're
right,
told
right.
we are told now that animal testing is needed. So it's understandable that most people think that.
Yeah.
But when you look at the statistics, it's a 94% fail rate when they use animals. So it's like, I don't know, that kind of a test, that high fail rate, that means all those individuals are being tortured.
Nothing. Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah. But when it comes to things that we do have choices in, right? Like the cosmetics, we can decide which cosmetics we can pick between cruelty-free and ones that are maybe mystery. Yeah. But when it comes to I think where where we're probably getting stuck on is like the food area, right? When
Yeah.
we use animals for food.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to do is we're not out here to try to shame anybody for
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
decisions.
Yeah.
I used animals for a long time of my life.
Yeah.
It's more, have you heard of the word veganism?
Yeah.
What do you understand it to mean?
Eating no eggs, or meat or dairy.
It's pretty close. So those are side effects of being vegan.
Yeah.
It comes out of this ethical stance to not want to demand someone's exploitation. So that same feeling you had for that dog where, they don't deserve that. And even though I'm getting a benefit from it, they matter. And I could kick something else.
Right.
So would you agree that if we don't need to, or we have an alternative, that not exploiting someone is the more moral choice?
Yes, I do think it is the more moral choice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that veganism, being a stance against exploitation, would get you closer to that principle?
Yeah, I think it would. Yeah.
Would you be open to me giving you a card?
Sure.
Awesome. I have two last questions for you, too.
Okay.
So on this card, there's a lot of resources, so please take your time looking over.
Sure.
On the back, I actually put the little, it's called a Vegan Dailey Dozen, but it's just a general checklist on how to get everything you need on a plant-based diet.
Okay.
The first resource is called Dominion. You can look this up on YouTube, but it's a documentary that just shows you standard practice. I want to educate my neighbors on what's going on, and it's just standard practice so that you know what it is you're demanding. And on the other side of this card is our website, which has many other resources. I tried to list out the top ones that I find, so you can go right to them right here, their websites.
Okay, cool.
So my two last questions.
Yes.
Would you be willing to go plant-based, or in that you don't buy any more animal products until you watch that documentary on your own time?
Oh, yeah, I could say that.
Appreciate you taking
Yeah.
the challenge. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's only because you don't know maybe if you're making victims, and I want you to be informed before you continue to make those choices.
Makes sense.
Last question, I'll let you go. You've been so wonderful.
Oh, okay.
How many more animals do you prefer be exploited for you? Is it more than zero?
Oh, that's a good question. I prefer to be zero.
Exactly. Exactly. Veganism will get you closest to that. I really appreciate you talking to me. You can rewatch this on YouTube if you wish to. You'll find it on the card. Yes, you have a great. What was your name one more time? Kathy, I'm Anna. Thank you again. I really did enjoy talking to you. You have a good. Enjoy the rest of the market. Yes, thank you. That was beautiful. Oh, what a wonderful experience. Awesome. Oh, I'm all smiles now. I love people that are honest people. Whenever I learn something, even if it sounds so wild and off the rocket, I will go research. If someone tells me something and they fervently believe it, I'll go verify. I am not above that. I want to improve myself, and I think we all do. It's just that there's a pride thing involved, and sometimes when you hear it from the voice that rings most to you, you hear it. You don't take offense to it. You absorb the information, and then you make logical choices from that. You thought that was vibrato? Oh, that's vibrato. Yeah. Milk and eggs still come from exploited beings. So milk comes from a mammal. She must be pregnant in order to produce milk. Do you think the farmers wait around for her to get pregnant, or do you think, the farmers make sure she gets pregnant in order to make a profit off of what she produces? Often what you find out is that dairy cows that don't want to get pregnant can't get pregnant, or their milk production declines, or they're even just, they have a little bit more of an attitude. They get sent to slaughter early. You can come in here if you want.
Just thought I'd talk to the chat, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the thing is, I wouldn't let you eat me because I don't want that to happen, right? And you shouldn't do things to people without their consent, period.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have, like, say, companion animals at home, like, would you do things to them without consent?
Yeah.
No, or, would you be okay with them being used the way we use other animals? I'd assume no, so, I mean, what's the difference?
Vegan Travel, yes. Please go follow Vegan Travel. Such a great activist. Green Earth Travel is their other channel. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vegan Channel or Vegan Travel. Green Earth Travel is their other channel, and they help people go around the world while still eating plant-based. And I think that's such a great resource. So please go check her out.
We're at the PSU Farmers Market for anybody who maybe just joined.
In Portland, Oregon.
Yep.
There's a pretty decent amount of us in here. So those that are vegan, let's see all my vegans. Put a 1 in the chat. All those that are not vegan but are curious, put a 2. And then everybody else put a 3.
Someone said my dog consents when I tell her what to do. Do you think cows, pigs, and chickens consent when they're being put into a stun box, gas chambers, having their necks sliced open? Not to get too, I don't know what I can say on here.
Yeah, it's kind
When
of, you
they're
can't
being-
sound threatening to people.
Okay, when they're being
It's okay.
murdered.
I think it's okay. Yeah, that. Apparently, even that word, you can say it, but it's more like you just can't sound like you're being threatening to the audience.
Gotcha. Okay. Or just when they're put in these situations, do you think they consent to any of that?
Yeah. And even when you're telling your dog what to do, that's not consent. That's just them following orders. It's not consent. Consent is freely given, retractable. I forgot what the I stands for. Enthusiastic, specific, and informed. So that's real consent. But if you're just telling them what to do, that's just them responding to what you told them to do. You can eat vegan steak. There are vegan steaks. You don't need to spam it. We get it. Okay, thank you. If you keep going, we will bump you out. We don't need you to spam. Is it bad to own a dog? It's bad to think of a dog as property. They're someone. You should think of it more like you're adopting someone. If you can give someone a rich life, that's beautiful. If you're just buying someone that you want to be your friend and they don't match what you need and you find that you're going to get rid of them, that's not being vegan. That's exploiting someone for a relationship.
Right, and you shouldn't go to someone that is, say, breeding these dogs for the sole purpose of selling them, to have as pets. Because then at that point you are kind of essentially viewing them, maybe you don't think it, but kind of treating them and viewing them as an object that you purchase that you're, gonna, I guess, own in a sense. Rather, if you're going to adopt someone and get them out of a situation, that's not beneficial for them, and then, like Anna said, give them like a rich life. That's different. And if you don't have the mindset that you own them, right? Essentially, and that's all veganism is. It's just the idea to live without exploiting animals. They're not here for us. We don't own them. They're their own individuals. We agree that we're our own individuals. So, why is it different for these animals?
Just put yourself in their situation. Like a dog, right? If you were adopted because someone could give you a nice life, that's beautiful. That doesn't sound exploitative. If someone adopted you to use you, it's so clear. That's exploitation. No one should be able to just adopt children to abuse them or to exploit them. That's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's okay to care about someone and give them a rich life if you can do that, but it's wrong to use them as an object. That's the point. You view them as they have their own purposes. They don't live for your purpose, they live for their own purpose. Yes, if you take their life, that is exploiting them. Yep, absolutely.
So someone said, what are we replacing protein with? With bugs? Is that still yeah, I was going to say plants. I mean, tons of plant protein sources, so many. Every plant food has, even if it's just a gram, I'm pretty sure has protein in it. So, there's no way you can not get protein. But, tofu, tempeh, seitan, beans, lentils, legumes, certain pastas, chickpea pasta. There's pasta made out of lentils. There's so many sources of protein that you can get from plants. It's really, the possibilities are really endless.
Yeah. And as long as, just to piggyback on the back of what Grass-Fed just said, as long as you get all your needed calories in a day, you're going to get all your protein.
Yeah.
Just eat a varied diet.
There will be no shortage in protein. Trust us.
No. We live in the age of protein. If you aren't getting enough protein, you can find it, I promise. You don't need to exploit other sentient beings for their protein. I have protein in my flesh. Is it now okay to exploit me for my flesh because I have protein in my muscles?
Has to be a proper balance between humane source meat and humane source plants. So,
Humane plants.
right, well, first off, I mean, there's no humane way to exploit and take someone's life from them when they don't want or need to die, or just to exploit someone for any purpose that, isn't necessary. Because, I mean, if we have alternatives like plants, then why would we, quote unquote, humanely, exploit these animals? I mean, we don't have any need for their flesh or anything else from them. So, but yeah, and again, you can just, eat plants. So.
Humane means to be compassionate, benevolent. Compassionate means to see someone suffering and want to alleviate it, right? So we're trying to say, you can't do that. You can't humanely take someone's life, compassionately care about their suffering and want to alleviate it. When you're exploiting them. Obviously, if someone is genuinely suffering, it's understandable that you're trying to help them. But how is sending animals into a slaughterhouse? How is graping them so they have babies so we can have their secretions, or making them have multiple ovulations? How is that in their best interest? It's not. It's always in ours. And when we do that to others, that's exploitation. We're saying it's okay to arbitrarily discriminate in a harmful way against someone who has just some difference that doesn't matter.
Someone said I prefer pescatarian, but vegan is cool. So the thing about that is you're still viewing fish, right? Fish, for example, maybe I understand, maybe this is harder to wrap your head around because they're more, quote unquote, alien to us. They live, a completely different environment. They're underwater. They look a lot different. They breathe differently. But they're still they're still sentient individuals who
A card?
have an experience of life, right? So if you don't need to use and exploit them, then why would you? If you have other options and can choose, an alternative, then
Sorry, what other side?
I don't know, either side. You should go with that choice.
Yes. So I would say the thing is with pescatarian, it's diet based, right? I don't know if you already said that.
No, I haven't. That's a good point to make.
Yeah. Pescatarian is just about your diet. Veganism is an ethical stance against the exploitation of others. Fish feel, as that's what Nick was about to call you grass fed again. It's fine, I guess. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I like my brain freezes. I'm like, wait, which one should I call you?
Either or, it doesn't matter.
But as Nick was saying, yeah, that's perfect. Oh. They care about what's happening to themselves, even though they look alien. And because they're sentient, because they care about themselves, that's all that matters. Are you leaving?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. No, don't be yeah, I'm not going to talk about it either.
All right.
Bye, Rebecca. See you.
I don't want to overshare, but there was an incident this morning, and she's taking care of somebody. And it's really sad that it happened right in front of her, but she's being a really kind and caring person, compassionate, if you will. So that's what vegans do. They see someone who needs help and they try to help them. That's not necessarily veganism, but it's that feeling of, that's a somebody. They care about what's happening to themselves.
There are animals on the other planet that also eat animals. Okay, so I mean, we aren't wild animals, obviously. We're not out in the wild. We have access to other means. Like, we're speaking on a phone right now. So I mean, if you're getting at the natural argument, I mean, what we're doing right now is not natural, communicating like this. And there's so many other things where we wear clothes.
We wipe our butts, we wash our hands, we brush our teeth.
Exactly.
Take
So
medicine.
we really shouldn't, model our behavior after what other animals do. We have choices. They don't. They're in survival situations. We aren't. We have a choice to make a different choice. So in that sense, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I would like to add that we're talking about moral agents and moral patients. If you can understand that morality is complex, that you need to weigh things out, that there are consequences to your actions and that you should be held accountable for those actions, or other people who know that there's consequences to their actions know that they can have repercussions to those actions. So when someone who understands that takes advantage of somebody who doesn't understand that, that's wrong. That's an atrocity. We're trying to say that if you know better, you should do better. Just because somebody who doesn't know better is doing something you deem immoral, that doesn't give you the moral license to also do it.
So I'm trying to read both chats.
So they are sentient like us, but not all of them understand complex things, right? That's the point. You can't hold someone up to a standard that they don't understand. We have humans like that. We protect them, we don't exploit them. So how did the ecosystem survive before humans? Right? We weren't always here. And we've only been farming for 10,000 years. Those animals existed way before we started farming them. So how did nature stay in balance before us? The only reason why we go out right now and do conservation is to keep the environment comfortable for us, We don't care about others, we care about our comfort. That's all that most humans care about. But if we start to consider, our neighbors, they also care about what's happening to them. Just like we do for humans, we'll take the time to make sure we're not violating them when we're making changes that improve all of our lives. I saw someone ask about, what do I think about, was it animals eating other animals? I think we already kind of covered that though. Animals are surviving a harsh environment. They're moral patients. They're vulnerable to us. Oh, if you hit the little white thing, it'll bring you down. Unless you were trying to scoop.
I was just kind of reading some of them to see
okay.
what people were saying. But
Make sure you're tapping and sharing. Here, I'll hold this. Tapping on the screen. Make sure that you're sharing if you can, and comment. We need as much interaction as possible. Share if you can. I'm going to say that again. Just because, the whole point of being on the internet is to have a megaphone. We need as many people in here as possible. Otherwise, we're kind of just talking at a tree. So make sure you're tapping like, I see the hearts. Thank you guys for being active, really. Kudos to the vegans in here. Thank you for being so active and answering questions when we can't get to them. Okay. Hey, you don't need to be mean. We'll kick you out if you can't be mature. Hey, Ian, good to see you. Martin, yes, I love the green hearts. I will totally take a spamming of green hearts. Plants are living, but they're not sentient. So what we care about is someone feeling, because that's what matters, that you're having an experience of life and you care about this and you avoid harm and look for that next positive experience. That's sentience. That's all that matters. Plants are not sentient, and even if they were, harm elsewhere in the world doesn't justify enslaving and exploiting someone on purpose, and you increase the harm by feeding plants to those animals.
Someone asked if we were at a farmer's market, and yes, we are. We're here in Portland, Oregon at the Portland State University Farmers Market.
Yeah. We've actually had quite a few off-camera conversations. I don't know if anyone's taking pictures. Here, hold this talking for a second.
But yeah, we're at the Portland State Farmers Market, or Portland State University Farmers Market. Talking to people about veganism, talking to the chat, trying to get people to come up and have a conversation on camera.
Sorry, I just want to make sure we get pictures of the event too.
No, you're good.
The most Portland live and topic I've ever seen. The most? I don't know what that means. Yeah, so we're not here to tie people down and force them to be vegan. We're here to have them recognize their own principles and that they're not living in alignment with them. Something that's interesting about us humans, we don't like feeling like we're inconsistent. We don't like feeling like we're bad. We like to think that we're always doing the good thing, that we're doing the best we can with what we have. And to be reminded that we are simply just not living in alignment with our own principles is bothersome. And many people will start to research to verify, am I actually going against my own principles? So that's why we're here. We're here to wake people up to start looking into it and make change their habits. It's really simple. Veganism is an inaction. You already spend that time to think about what you're eating, what you're wearing, what you're going to use for shampoo and conditioner. Since you're already taking that time, get something that doesn't require someone's exploitation. It literally takes seconds. Just Look at ingredients.
J.K. Bebe said it's making the people feel bad part that I don't agree with, and I mean we don't.
If you feel bad, that's your own guilt. I'm not guilt tripping you. I'm telling you the facts. Animals suffer. Animals don't want to be used. You don't need to use them. And if you feel bad, you should, because that's your own conscience telling you you're going against your own principles. What you're experiencing is called cognitive dissonance. It's that discomfort of feeling, oh, I'm doing something against my principles, but I gain a benefit by doing that.
Someone said, genuine question, why do you think your opinion is right? And it's not about being right or wrong. It's just about not forcefully exploiting other sentient individuals, not viewing others as objects and resources. I think we can all agree that that's the ethical thing to do. And when faced with a decision where you can choose to exploit someone else or not, you would choose not to. So when it comes to these other animals, then why is it any different?
Yeah. So when you ask, like, what makes us think we're right, what would you want done if you were in the position of the victims? If you're being hung upside down, if you're having your babies taken from you, you're having your autonomy violated, would you prefer that your oppressors stop? Or would you prefer that they keep going just because they can? And once you figure out the answer to that, you understand why we're here. It's not about, like Nick was saying, it's not right or wrong. Ask yourself, if you were in that situation, would you think that's acceptable?
I think you're just going to the bathroom.
I didn't know if you wanted to jump in or not. Vegetarianism is a diet. Veganism is a way of living that doesn't demand someone's exploitation. So I also don't go to circuses. I don't go to zoos. I check my cosmetics to make sure they weren't tested on somebody. Hey, you want to have a conversation?
No, I just wanted to say hi.
Do you think the powerful should oppress the powerless? I agree.
Someone said, it's not like I hunt animals for sport. That's where I cross the line. But the thing is do you need to go out and do you need to take the life?
Don't hit that button. Just because it'll turn the phone off.
Okay. Do you need to take someone else's life? Like, do you have other alternatives? You need to go out and purposely, take an animal's life. It may not be for sport, but it's still for an unnecessary reason, right?
I mean, what purpose is there to go hunting? Mammal biomass, the wild mammal biomass, is 4%.
We're ready for an interview.
Oh, yes. Does anybody want to interview? I would love.
I don't care. Anyone can.
If you want to. I've already done one, is why I was asking if anybody else
Did you want to do one? Or I can do it.
Okay.
We all like to do interviews.
No, we're
I'll
all
do
going
it.
to do it. I'm just trying to be polite.
All right, I think, would you actually mind stepping just a little?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it. We have two things, maybe right here. Maybe, okay, you see these lines? Sorry. You see, maybe.
Oh, this line.
Yeah. I think that'll work. That's fine. All right, so my name's Nick. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Veronica.
Veronica, nice to meet you. So we're just out here kind of talking about dynamics between like the powerful and the powerless. So do you think someone being, say, like stronger than someone else or say smarter, like do you think that gives them the right to essentially like dominate someone else or like oppress them?
Of course not.
Okay, yeah, I agree. And I think any sane, rational person would agree. So kind of flipping that, when it's not necessarily talking about humans, but when we talk about kind of other animals, for example, ones that we like, say, send into slaughterhouses or use for like clothing, entertainment, medical testing, do you think we're kind of like using our power that we have over them?
100% we are.
Yeah. So how do you kind of like feel about that? Do you think we should be doing that?
Of course not. No.
Have you ever heard of like veganism by any chance?
Veganism? I have not.
Okay, so veganism essentially, it's a ethical stance just against the exploitation of non-human animals or just sentient individuals, right? Because what we share with other animals, right, is that they're sentient, we're sentient. Just meaning that, are you familiar with like sentience?
I am.
Yeah. Just meaning that they have a subjective experience, just like us. Maybe there's different degrees. Maybe they might not experience it exactly the same. But the point being is, there's someone in there having an experience. They can feel, right? And so if we don't need to use them or exploit them or cause them harm, we shouldn't. and I assume you'd agree, right?
100%.
So would you ever, sounds like you haven't heard of it before, but would you ever like consider maybe looking into veganism and kind of seeing what it's about? And just kind of, because it sounds like you're, it seems like you're a good person and you understand that like, we shouldn't needlessly inflict exploitation and suffering onto someone else. So if you can live in alignment with that, would you like obviously be willing to do that?
I will. Are you talking about veganism like the food?
No, so
You're talking about the feeling of the experience of what the animal feels versus the human feels.
right. So veganism kind of, like a lot of people typically think it's like a diet, and a lot of people kind of get it confused with like vegetarianism. Vegetarianism is like a diet. It's just not eating meat.
Yeah.
And veganism, there's like a diet component aspect to it. Obviously, like we don't consume any animal products, being obviously like meat or like secretions, being like cow's milk or eggs. So we avoid all that. But it's also other aspects such as clothing. We don't wear leather, fur, wool. We don't go to zoos or circuses, and just anything essentially that is exploiting another animal and kind of like using them for like some kind of purpose that we don't need to use them for, essentially.
Benefiting the humans always.
Exactly. So would you, if I gave you a resource card, would you be willing to look into it?
100%.
Cool. Cooper, could I grab a card from you? All right, so this is our card. So if you want, you can scan this QR code. You can also just look it up if you don't want to scan the QR code. That's fine. This just goes to our website. It's called Anti-Animal Use. It's just got tons of resources on there. There's a documentary called Dominion. It is a bit of a tough watch, but it just kind of goes over what happens to animals in all these industries. It is a tough watch. So I mean, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to watch it, obviously. But I just think it's important for us as consumers to like know what we are demanding when we buy these products. So there's that, and then there's also nutritionfacts.org. If you were curious, I know I said veganism isn't just about the diet, but that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So if you were to make like that change, we have resources in regards to that, where you can kind of see, if you're wanting to get all your nutrition in and everything you need, we have resources for that.
That's what I've been looking for, is like other ways to eat better. I'm always trying to better my eating habits because of the my son and I were just talking about this, all the chemicals that are being put in animals, all the crap that's being put even in our grass, and then we're eating all that. And so I've been trying to find other ways to just get my nutrition in and not have, and I don't eat a bunch of meat. I try to stay mostly with fish.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to still do better,
Yeah. So, I mean, like, if you're definitely curious about that, we have resources for that. And obviously, veganism has tons of it does have health benefits. But again, I think it's important when, like, if it's something you're looking into, to think about it from kind of the perspective of, like, the animals and, like, why you're doing it, because you just don't want to demand someone else, another animal, say, suffer for you. So I think it's important, like, when kind of learning about veganism, to think about that and consider it from that perspective, because most people, I think, some people when they go vegan, if they go into it more in like a kind of I kind of want to do it for like a health aspect, I feel like a lot of times you're more likely to like kind of stop doing it, because you're more doing it for like yourself, as opposed to like you're doing it kind of like for these other animals. Do you know what I'm kind of saying?
Totally understand that.
But yeah, but I totally understand, and there are obviously benefits to eating a plant-based diet. But yeah, anyways, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but
No, I agree with you. I think, like you said, I have a lot of friends that introduced me to a lot of it, so I've been trying to get more into what they eat.
Yeah.
I'm always calling my friends up and saying, okay, what about this? What about that? Because I do want to get better, not just for myself, but trying to stay away from the meat products.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with hurting another animal
Right,
is going to support and help me at the end as well.
Exactly, right. Like, it's the whole thing is like, if we don't need to do these things, it's like, then why do it? We all agree that like we shouldn't harm each other, obviously, and like companion animals. Do you have any companion animals?
We actually just lost ours. So,
oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I'd imagine you obviously love and view them kind of as a part of the family, right?
100%.
You'd never want to see them being harmed or just even exploited for their body or in any ways like that. So it's just about these other animals too. We don't kind of view them like that, or we don't see them like that, and a lot of times we don't see what's happening to them, so we kind of don't think about it. But it's just important to kind of think about it from that aspect. It's like you wouldn't do it to say your companion animals at home, or you wouldn't want like the things that happen to these other animals to happen to them. It's like why do it to these other animals,
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
But anyways, I'll
Thank
let you go and give you that. And Veronica, you said it was? It was nice to meet you,
so much.
and I appreciate you stopping by. Have a good
For
day.
everything you do.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by. Yeah, it was a good one.
Can we talk to chat? You can talk
Yeah, I
to?
don't know. I just didn't want to.
That was not a stage conversation. Wow. That was a stranger. You're seeing street interviews with random people on the public. We're here in Portland, Oregon at the PSU Farmers Market.
Yeah, I was going to say, that wasn't stage. I've never met that person in my life. Like, they just came up and wanted to talk, and we talked. And she was receptive to the message, and she sounds like a very understanding and empathetic person. So,
For anybody curious, we're here in Portland, Oregon at the PSU Farmers Market. As you just saw, we're having discussions with people passing by about animal ethics. We're asking, is it ethical to exploit our animal relatives when we have another choice in 2026? What do you think? Spooky says stage, though, laugh out loud. Yeah, that was a pretty silly comment to me. We've never met these people before, obviously. They're just, look at how many people are passing by. We're in public. I want to ask, what is the justification for exploiting animals in 2026 when we don't need to? What would justify going to the aquarium or the zoo or the rodeo when you could watch a nature documentary instead where the animals are free and not confined and used for our entertainment? What would stop you from picking up the tofu or the bag of beans or the seitan at the grocery store rather than contribute to animals being exploited within the meat and milk and egg industries? What do you think? Somebody says there's no justification to not be vegan. Nicely put, Jake. I believe Jake's organization or resource page is animaljustice21.org. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's an excellent page if you're interested in living a vegan ethic, but potentially have some barriers that stop you from doing so. That can be an excellent resource to start at. We also recommend everybody to look up watchdominion.org. Look up watchdominion.org. There's a documentary there on the standard practices within the industries that exploit our animal relatives. Once you watch it, it gives you the ability to make that informed choice as a consumer. Do I want to contribute to this injustice, or do I want to oppose it and boycott it? What do you think? Somebody says, because I like steak. I understand that most people do enjoy the taste that they get or the pleasure that they receive when they consume parts of animals or milks or eggs. I understand that, but we're asking, does pleasure justify exploitation and killing? Does 5 or to 10, maybe 15 minutes of taste pleasure justify exploiting another animal and taking their life from them? What do you think? Somebody says you need it in your diet. What's your evidence for this? What do we need in our diet? According to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the largest body of nutrition professionals and dietitians on the planet, the human body can thrive on plants only. We don't need animal flesh, secretions. We don't need either of them. And if we don't need to contribute to that system of violence and exploitation, we're asking, why would we? Everybody here, please double tap that screen, share the live as well. If you have somebody who'd be interested in watching along, share it with them too. We're in Portland, Oregon at the PSU Farmers Market. I want to ask the chat, how old are chickens who are eaten for their flesh? How old are they when they are killed? I'm going to look for the answer in the chat. Put the answer in days. That should be a hint that they aren't very old. Also add that birds, like chickens, they might live 5 to 10 plus years if they are not exploited and killed. So how many days old are chickens when they are exploited and killed to end up in the grocery store shelves? Kelly's very close. Kelly I think this is YouTube, says 45 days. It's honestly less at this point. It's 6 weeks on the dot, 42 days, and they're trying to bring it down constantly. They're still selectively breeding these animals so that they grow faster, quicker, so that they grow bigger more quickly. And they do this because they want to get as much money and as much profit off of the bones and off of the flesh of these animals as they can. So just 42 days into what could have been a 5 to 10 plus year life. Does that sound fair to you? Does that sound justified to you? Let's say they were actually 8 years old and they were nearing an elderly age, would you think it's justified to exploit and kill them then? Would you accept that standard for dogs or cats if they began to grow old? Maybe they reached the 8th or 10th year of their life. Would it be fair, just because they've lived a long life, to exploit them and use them for their flesh? If not, if it's not okay for the dog, I want to ask, what is the difference between dogs and chickens that makes it acceptable to exploit the chicken but not the dog? Name the difference that justifies treating them so differently. Somebody says, what plants have omega-3 fatty acids? So your omegas can come from things like chia seeds and different plant seeds can provide that. And if you didn't want to eat those, you could also take a supplement instead. I would much prefer to take a supplement rather than contribute to animals being violated and killed on my behalf. Flax seeds, thank you. I was forgetting the name flax for some reason. They're not ones that I eat all that often, but I know that they're an excellent source for those who are concerned with that specific nutrient. Somebody says, I don't eat chicken much, but I eat a lot of eggs. Dogs are companion animals. So when you say dogs are companion animals, you're making an arbitrary classification. There's nothing behind it other than an arbitrary kind of imposition on their body. It's completely made up. It's constructed, this idea that some animals are here for us and other animals are here to be cared for. And I also want to touch on your point about eggs. So many people think of eggs as an industry that's different from flesh industries because they assume that maybe the birds are not killed. But this is not the case. Again, while those birds might live 5 to 10 plus years, at just 18 to 24 months on both small farms, backyard farms, and in factory farms, birds in the egg industry are killed less than 2 years into what could have been a 5 to 10 plus year life. That's one of the injustices within the egg industry, but there are a couple more. While the birds are alive, it's important to recognize that they've been selectively bred and genetically manipulated. Humans have genetically engineered them to produce more of the commodity that they want to exploit and extract from them. Because humans want eggs from birds, they've selectively bred them to the point where they're producing about an egg every single day. It's more than 300 eggs a year, whereas the ancestors of these birds in the forest, right, they laid about 12 to 15 eggs per year. That's a 30 times increase. And it takes so much energy, it's so taxing to push out an egg for a bird. And they're forced to do this every day by the virtue of their genetically engineered body. Does that sound fair? The next layer of cruelty or injustice within eggs is the disposability politics involved with them. For the males that are born into the egg industry, as well as intersex birds, they're seen as completely useless by the industry that wants eggs. So because they're seen as disposable, about 300 million baby male birds and intersex birds at just 1 day old, they're fully conscious and peeping, they're put on a conveyor belt to go into an industrial-sized blender. That's the US alone every year, 300 million baby birds. That is the egg industry, and that is on all farming systems, regardless of if it's free range or backyard or factory farm. So these are the reasons that vegans boycott egg industries. Somebody says, would you rather Bill Gates feed you 3D printed meat? So I don't support Bill Gates or the existence of billionaires. I'm an anti-capitalist, I'm an anarchist specifically. So I wouldn't eat anything that Bill Gates is trying to feed me, not him specifically. If there's a plant-based meat in the grocery store that I've determined is meeting my nutrients that I want to consume, I might buy it, I might eat it. Let's see. For anybody who's joined me recently, we're here in Portland, Oregon at the PSU Farmers Market. I want to ask, what is the ethical justification? What justifies exploiting animals in 2026 when we don't need to? If we don't need to contribute to animals being violated and exploited, why would we? That's the question we're asking here today. If we don't need to exploit others, why would we? I see Ian in the chat. Hi, Ian. Somebody says, I genuinely hate eating them. When you say you hate eating them, are you talking about animals? I'm not sure what your point is. Leave another message in the chat. Somebody says it's food. Some people can't eat all veggies. So we're not encouraging folks to eat all veggies. It's important to find a mix with legumes, with protein sources like soy and seitan and tofu and nuts and berries and seeds and fruits. We should be eating a big variety. Don't just eat veggies. You'll become sick. When we advocate here for a vegan ethic, we are hoping that folks implement their ethic in a way that's sustainable for themselves, which involves eating a variety of plants, not just one group. Somebody says soy is a veggie. No, it's a legume. It's not a vegetable. Unless legume is underneath the umbrella of veggie, I'm not sure. These things are not relevant or helpful. Somebody says, I own chickens and they taste good and their eggs. So I want to ask, does the pleasure that you get when you eat a piece of this bird, does it justify stealing their life from them? And does it seem fair to demand somebody push out an egg for you every single day when you don't need to consume eggs, when your body could thrive without them? Does any of that seem fair? Somebody says, do you agree with abortion? I want to direct our energy and attention specifically here to animal ethics. We're talking about the exploitation of our fellow earthlings. Do you think it's fair for us to contribute to animals being exploited within the food, entertainment, clothing, or testing industries? Share your thoughts. Let's open up a conversation here. Somebody says, oh, humans aren't animals. Humans are absolutely animals. I'm an animal as well. Everybody in the chat is an animal, a human animal. Somebody says, gotta go, I'll be back in 30 minutes. Okay, we'll be here. Somebody says, would one steak a month be an acceptable compromise when it comes to minimizing meat eating? Can you actually be healthy without eating at least one steak a month? Absolutely. There are vegan bodybuilders, there's vegan weightlifters. All of the biggest nutrition organizations and dietetic organizations agree that the human body can thrive with no animal flesh in its diet.
What's up, you guys? Got broccoli in the house. I haven't done a live stream on my channel in a while, but broccoli lives do matter. Who we got?
Got a lot of people in the comments.
Hey, U-Tops. Okay. Hey, U-Tops. What are we saying in the chat? Mr. Broccoli, Mr. Neil Smith, Mr. Anderson.
Somebody says you don't look healthy.
Healthy.
I look about the same as I did before I started living a vegan ethic. So my appearance isn't relevant, right? It didn't change. And your appearance too likely will not change when you start living a vegan ethic unless you decide to begin bodybuilding or something, which is accessible to you. There are many vegan bodybuilders, vegan Olympic athletes. There are vegan parkour athletes.
Hey, heretic. I am a happy broccoli. It's a great day out here. I have a theory that maybe the clouds make people a little more open-minded. We've talked to a lot of people. The majority that I've talked to today are all vegans. And I keep trying to lure them in and saying, please use your beautiful voices for the voiceless animals. They need your voices now more than ever. I don't know if you non-vegans realize this, but we kill more animals than the earth has ever seen. 90 billion land animals killed every single year for human use. 90 billion for 8 billion humans. And then if we count the sea creatures, we're into the trillions. And I want to ask, do animals deserve ethical consideration or do they not? Yes or no in the chats?
Yeah, let's see your answer in the chat. Somebody asked a while back, what about humane farms? So if they're farming vegetables, there's a possibility that that is humane or ethical. But if you're exploiting an animal, if you intend to use them for their flesh or secretions when you don't need to, why would it ever be ethical to do that? Why is needless violence and exploitation ever ethical? How could it be humane? Leave another response.
Right. Like the stereotypical example, if you kick a dog for fun, it's wrong, and most people will agree with you. But if you murder an animal, chop its head off, and drain its body of blood and eat its flesh, somehow that's not violent. Somehow that's acceptable. Somehow you're ignoring the sentience and the capacity of suffering of these sentient individuals.
Somebody's asking, is fish acceptable to eat? It's not from their perspective, unless you're in the most dire of circumstances and you're on the desert island and you need to, even then the fish still wants to live and they don't want to be suffocated. But in the most dire situations, you might find justification to harm somebody else, just as you might find justification to defend yourself if somebody attacked you, right? In necessity. But in our society, with our circumstances, in a world where we don't need to pull a fish out of the water and suffocate them to exploit them and eat their flesh, how would that be justified? What would the difference be between a fish and, say, a bird, or between a fish and, say, a pig, that makes it justified to exploit and kill the fish, but not the pig or the cow or the bird? What's the difference between the animals?
Yeah, what's the difference? I want to point out that usually these comments that you guys are seeing are from the people who are most triggered. The people who are genuinely concerned about this, I feel like, are quiet. And I want to let you guys know, the quiet ones, know that this is imperative. This is urgent. This has to happen. You have to be vegan as soon as you can if you agree with it. If you have vegan values, please go vegan as soon as possible. Now's the time if you care.
Michael says, I'm not vegan, but I love animals. It's tough for me. Do you want to respond to that?
How do you love animals? I mean, what is love?
Yeah.
What is love?
And who has it tougher? You, who has to make a lifestyle choice, or an animal who is having a knife meet their throat? Put it in perspective for yourself. Who has it harder? Somebody's saying you kill a lot of insects. We're aware that you make the crop deaths argument very often. The trolls in the comments, it's honestly their favorite one, crop deaths though. But it takes way more crops to exploit animals and to farm animals than it does to simply grow crops and eat them directly. So there will be more crop deaths when we exploit animals than if we eat plants directly. And as we're eliminating animal exploitation and we're abolishing animal agriculture, we can also implement veganic farming principles within the plant farms that do exist to address any remaining harm. We can do both, and we should.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who defend this injustice haven't seen it. They try to hide it from us. They use euphemisms like humane, slaughter, free range, cage free to make you feel better about exploitation. The truth is that animals have pain receptors. They can process pain, and that plants cannot process pain. I heard someone asking about bugs and crop deaths. The best way to reduce your bug death and your crop death is to be vegan, because it takes less resources. It actually requires 80% less land to survive off of plant-based diet. And also reminding you guys, it's not a diet. Veganism isn't just a diet. It's so much more. It's an ethical principle. Vegan is ethics. If you are vegan, it means you have ethics towards the animals. If you're not vegan, it means you do not have ethics towards the animals, even your own. You agree, but you don't do it. We call it hypocrisy. What is preventing you right this moment from saying, I am a vegan?
Nothing. And if there's nothing to stop you, if you don't have a barrier, why not start living in alignment with your own principle? Why not extend your compassion and your liberation to all of our fellow earthlings on this planet?
Right. He's asking why not? What is preventing you?
Yeah, what is your obstacle to living a vegan ethic? Let's talk about some of them.
In reality, it is easy to be vegan and hard to change our ego. Our ego is our perception of ourselves. We think of ourselves in a certain way. We think our habits are who we are. What we do is who we are. When in reality, we're mammals, we're animals, and we can survive off of plants, off of protein from plants, aminos. Please, be vegan!
Hello to you tops. Thank you to the vegans and the mods for being here. It's important to keep the chat somewhat free of bigotry, so thank you for being here. Somebody says, I do not believe it is unethical to exploit non-human animals. Why? If you're saying you do not believe it's unethical, you're saying that you think it is ethical to exploit them. And I just want to ask, what is the justification then? If it's ethical, what justifies exploiting them? Let's hear it. Hi, Ian. Somebody says rocks and minerals as well, just different levels than ours. I think everybody here, if we had a gas chamber in front of us, would know which entity should be put in it. The rock or the broccoli or the grass should go in before a pig, a fish, a bird, or anybody who breathes, right? I think we know the distinction between sentient life, such as animals, and non-sentient life, like plants and rocks. Let's have a serious conversation here.
Maybe if they scream for their life, don't eat them. Or don't pay for someone else to stab animals to death.
Somebody says if they keep raising the price of meat, we will all be vegans soon. So what would stop you from electing to drop animal flesh and secretions before it's illegal and before it's prohibitively expensive? When it's already affordable and it's an option available to you today, what justifies your contribution to animals being exploited tomorrow and the next day, even if you could afford it? Somebody says plants aren't sentient. Are you D-word? Okay, I think they're agreeing, but we don't need to like call people names necessarily in the chat. Somebody says plants breathe and have life. When you pick them, they die. But do they suffer? Do they have a brain that produces a conscious, sentient experience of subjectivity and of wanting to live the next moment and of having desires and preferences? I don't think so.
You guys know when slavery was being abolished, there were two teams. There were slavery abolitionists and slavery reductionists. Guess who won? Should we be animal reductionists? Should we promote meatless Mondays or racist-less Tuesdays? Isn't discrimination viewing another sentient animal as inferior to you?
Yeah.
We call it speciesism. Discrimination against the animals when they clearly have capacity to suffer.
Yeah. In our culture, we'll frequently acknowledge that human slavery should be abolished, even if it still exists in some places, or even if it's still ingrained in our prison system, which also needs to be challenged, abolished, I would argue. But that doesn't mean that animal slavery is acceptable, just because there might be some forms of human injustice. We should just oppose all injustice consistently.
Right. Not all legality is moral. Not all laws are moral. Just ask the Justice Department of the United States. The Injustice Department.
Somebody says deer isn't the leading meat industry. Regardless of how many deer are being killed or what percentage of calories deer flesh is meeting within the public, it is unacceptable to exploit and kill deer when we don't need to. What would justify pulling the trigger and shooting them in the head for a needless purpose? Let's hear it.
Yeah, even regardless of your needless purpose, when you die, what do you want done with your body? Do you want your body to be sliced up like a cake?
Sorry.
You're
Sorry.
good.
We'll stand right here.
On
the pink mark with the pink mic. Yes. Okay. So our sign says, "Should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless?" Talk to me. So there's a little markers there. It's like IQ test, or he's stronger than her physically, it looks like. Do you believe that any of those traits should, maybe inherently mean that they have the right to oppress somebody else, like prolonged cruel treatment?
I mean, short answer, no.
Right. I'm glad we agree. Do you have a longer answer you'd like to share?
I mean, I think we have to decide what kind of world we want to live in.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't just be about the best of times.
Heck yeah.
Like, being disabled and having a disability is like one of the oppressed identities that you can join at any time.
Oh, totally.
Completely unexpected.
Disability,
And-
ability, it's also arbitrary that we should get rid of the word, but if we did, we'd have to get rid of the system too, because the system obviously values certain able-bodied individuals more than others.
Like, changing language to be more respectful is always great, but if we don't change the system and we don't change how we respect people,
Exactly.
then we didn't change anything.
And even it gets down to our mindsets more so, because we can change the system and we can change, we can lobby for discrimination laws, right, that allow either gay people to work or disabled bodies to work in certain places, right? But if people, the managers of those places, haven't worked on their mindsets on able-bodied people or disabled-bodied people, or gay people or straight people, whoever, right? Whatever race they may be, even, right, discriminating against. If people haven't unlearned those mindsets and disabled that hierarchy in their head, then we won't be able to live in a world where that is actually coming into fruition, where everybody is experiencing a liberated life. So what? Oh yeah, no, go.
I was just gonna say, building a better world for everyone, even if it's people you don't like, even if it's people you don't agree with, makes life better for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even an A to B, it's an A to A.
Yes, literally.
A better world for everyone is a better world for everyone,
Yeah.
and that includes you.
Totally, yeah. And like, yes, it includes you. And then, like, even then, like, that's not exactly the only importance, right? That,
Yeah.
you know, it being you, right? Like, you care that other people are also, you know, experiencing the best life that they can, not having to be oppressed or exploited, hopefully, along the way. Have you? The question is, it kind of takes a turn, and it may seem like I'm trying to catch you off guard, but I'm really not. It's just like the part of the conversation that is a little more not talked about. But have you ever thought about what, say that the same way that we extend solidarity towards, you know, people who maybe not have an abled body, or people who aren't, you know, this, like a stereotypical way, the way that capitalism wants a body to look, you know, white, male, probably like tall, I don't know, but like a dominating identity, right? Shoot, I forgot what I was saying. I used
Related
too many
to the
adjectives.
question.
Yeah, okay, so basically, I'll just ask a different one. That's totally fine. Sorry.
Okay.
So, the way we extend solidarity towards other people, right? Other humans. Do you believe that we should extend that solidarity to, or have you ever thought about what it would look like to extend the solidarity to, like, beyond a species boundary?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself am, I say vegan because it's easiest. I'll eat eggs if they're humanely sourced. Like, I know someone with chickens in their backyard that they take care of and they treat well, or, you know, like local honey where the beekeeper cares about their bees. But I think fundamentally, however we treat the lowest beings in our society is how we can justify treating people that we deem lower than us. I don't think, like, let me be clear, I don't think we should deem anyone lower than us, lower than each other. But, like, you know, you think of the phrase, like, he was treating me like an animal.
Yeah.
How do we treat animals?
Yeah.
Because if we can't justify doing it to a dog, to a pig, to a bird, we can't justify doing it to another person.
Exactly.
And elevating the standard for everybody elevates the standard for everybody. And I mean everybody. I'm not just talking humans.
No, yes.
And the ways that we hold ourselves to respecting the world around us, in turn into the ways that we hold ourselves to respecting each other.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not on that hippy dippy shit.
Yeah.
Like even if you're like, even if you're just like, I care about myself, that's the be all end all. It's good for you too.
Yeah.
It's good for you to care about everybody, even if it's not that deep. Just a little bit of kindness. Just a little sprinkle of decency.
Yeah, totally. I love that you said that, and you're already there with a lot of the things that I was about to try to get to. So we're gonna like kind of speed run it. We're gonna speed run it a little bit. Yeah. So use what you said, that sentence, you know, like, or bringing that idea up, that what are you being treated like an animal, and we think like what, you know, we think of how animals are treated. It's not typically in a great light. Like we think of animals being, you know, maybe chained up, shackled, slaughtered for resources or whatever. And when we look at like where that comes from, it really comes from taxonomy, right? The idea, or the divvying up, right? The groupings of like saying, okay, this is this group of people, or these species are these species, and like we're trying to label everybody and label everything out and get everything organized, when really the world is an extremely complex place with lots of intersex individuals as well, and like intersex animals, like, so like everything's a spectrum, and we know this, right? But for some reason, when it comes to like animal identity, humans are somehow like cherry picked out of it, while also benefiting from the label animal, because we do things that to other animals, like, you know, slaughter them, kill them, and we say, oh well, it's natural, like we're taking our piece in, you know, nature. But we also recognize, or we say like, well, humans aren't animals, just so that, you know, we can acknowledge that humans are superior, have a higher inherent value. are you aware of like? So I would guess so. Are you already aware of all the things that that we do to animals, or you could
Yeah.
probably name a few that you
Unfortunately.
wouldn't accept yourself, right?
Yeah, completely.
So with all these things that we do to animals in human culture, right, or other species that we wouldn't accept ourselves, do you believe that it's possible to unlearn that culture? And
Yeah.
should we strive for a world where we are unlearning that culture?
I mean, I think so completely. I think in the same ways that the things we do to animals in our culture and society are inherently based out of colonialism and oppression.
Oh,
I think
the word.
also
You said it, the colonialism.
I think
Sorry.
also the view that there is no ethical way to eat animals and the sort of like vegan it's like a lot of the message is very white, and it also stems
Yeah.
from colonialism.
Uh-huh.
Native food practices, or people in, like rural communities
Mhm.
or in other countries that have a completely different relationship to animals.
Yeah.
I think there are ways to eat animals and animal products in a way that isn't morally bankrupt. But I don't live in that place.
Yeah.
And I'm not a part of any of those societies.
Yeah, I think for
Like-
me, what I say, right, is the way that it's not morally corrupt or, evil for you to take another animal's life and sustain yourself off of that. It would just come down to necessity,
Yeah.
and survival. Like, am I on, like, my ancestors are indigenous to the islands of, like, Polynesia. And so, like, I imagine they survived heavily off of fish lives and,
Yeah.
whatever. But I recognize that, like, if I were to go there now and them doing that now in name of their culture may not be
Yeah.
super correct, because like we have options like
Yeah.
when we do look at it actually too, we see a lot of the indigenous food, and that it wasn't until colonization that we started farming animals, because you'll see like cows, pigs, and chickens, they're not even native to
Yeah.
the North
And,
America.
that was the other thing I was going to mention. It's like, if you're ride or die, never going to give up hunting, hunt invasive. Like, the wild hog population in the United States is wreaking havoc on our environment and like killing thousands of native indigenous species.
Well,
Like I feel bad for them. It sucks that they were brought here by colonists, but at this point, unchecked, they're going to destroy our environment.
Well-
And I'm not going to go out there and hunt and kill them, but
Yeah.
I think there's middle ground to meet with people, and there's conversations about ways to engage in those food systems, even if I choose to object.
Well, I guess in that situation, I want to bring up the necessity again, though, because
Yeah.
right, like if we
It is a necessity, but
But-
for our ecology rather than individually.
But like, like if it's, let's say like, those would just be consequences that we should have to honestly survive and adapt to, right? That like, say like, because these wild hogs, like, it's probably our fault that they're overpopulated.
I mean-
but now that they have life, right? Now that they have sentient life, like if we were to harm them or bring, put our interests over theirs and take their life, would you still see that as wrong?
If the only two species in the equation was humans and wild hogs, I would say it's wrong. But I don't think that,
Oh, you're saying like,
I don't
since
think-
humans would be doing it for like the
I don't think ground nesting
greater good.
birds, I don't think it's their fault that wild hogs came in and are destroying their nests. I don't think that, like native salamander species should have to just cope with, wild hogs. I don't think that, or, like the plant life should have to cope with wild, like bringing them here in the first place was an act of colonialism, and a huge part of why colonial presence in the Americas was so deadly for 90% of native people who lived here wasn't just humans and human diseases. It was like, honestly kind of single-handedly pigs. It was bringing in pigs for farm keeping that then got loose, and wild hogs were brought here for game hunting, and they destroyed native food sources. They destroyed native ecology, and they also brought a litany of diseases that human to swine diseases can transmit easier because we're closer genetically. And those zoological diseases are fucking nasty. And like that is why, after the first wave of, colonialists got here, people came afterward. 80 or 90% of the population that was here died before most colonialists ever even got here or had a chance to spread disease or to, push colonial ideology or murder people because of the impact that, invasive species had. Like, you go to Australia and invasive frogs and invasive rats destroy the environment. Like, there's a balance to be brought, and I think the thing that causes the least harm to the system is probably the overall ethical choice that I would make.
I can see that viewpoint as well. I just want to say though, because like, if the wild pigs, right, they're invasive, and I honestly don't use that word a lot because it always seems so arbitrary. It's kind of like the word disability for me, because it's like, anybody could be deemed invasive at any point to somebody else, right? Like, say, like some people don't consider cows, pigs, and chickens that are domesticated invasive, but to some the indigenous people and the indigenous animals, right, who were living here prior to colonization, they are invasive. But when I don't like it in general because once we do so, we're already like we're using that hierarchy, right, of like somebody's lower, and why should they have to pay the price, right? Because they care about like their own personal experience. Now that they're having one, like, why should they pay the price for the greater good? And who are we as humans, to make that decision? Like, if we agree that we are not, inherently smarter or inherently better than other species, then how can we make decisions like that without, it being exploitative or, assuming interests where they should be?
I mean, to start, I listen to scientists and I listen to indigenous voices, and the consensus on invasive species, particularly from those two groups, is that they do more harm than good in their presence. And I feel that even though I think as individuals, humans aren't innately better or smarter than any other species, we have the unique advantage of communal knowledge and communal understanding.
Yeah.
I think that the conclusions that one person can come to are never going to surmount to, even a fraction or a decimal of a fraction of the information that we hold collectively.
Totally.
And, we can see across lifetime, across discipline, people who become experts in really specific fields like ecology and environmental studies, that there are criteria for meeting the distinction of invasive other than just I say so. It's
totally.
It's about the impact that it has, and
on the system around it. Yeah.
I mean, like, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to kill any of them. We could just put them somewhere where the environment supports them, and nobody, no harm would come from it. But living in the world we live in, where that's not a feasibility, like, I think exploring alternative options as well is a great idea. Like, they're exploring certain basically like medication traps that could sterilize wild
I've seen
species.
stuff like that.
And like, as someone who tries to live as low harm as possible, that's a preference to me.
That's something I would prefer too, right? Over like obviously taking their lives, but
because it doesn't only impact hogs. Like, if a wild deer eats it, or some other native species eats it, it's going to impact them too. So it's complicated. It's an issue that takes multiple approaches to be done holistically. But the thing that creates the least harm is going to be the thing I advocate for. And I think preserving biodiversity, natural ecology, native species, and native peoples is my priority. And if the hunting of invasive species is required for that, I do think that it probably is overall the moral choice to make, even if I personally wouldn't want to have a hand in it.
I see. So like even, let me say, okay, I guess the point I'm getting at, right, is that I believe that it would be wrong because I believe like other animals, since I see no, since I'm extending solidarity past the species boundary, right? I cannot accept for any reason or any moment that taking the life of another is going to be okay, because I would have to justify that for like in a human context as well.
Yeah.
And considering the fact that I can't without the justification being either oppressive in nature or exploitative, then I have to value their life, and we have to find, like, I believe that humans should be obligated to find other ways, rather than taking lives of other animals to balance out the system. Maybe looks like, we actually get rid of roadways, like maybe if we actually abolish the systems that we should abolish, then maybe these animals can live the rest of their lives out without us having to take lives. Because as soon as we do that, we're saying, you're dying for something so much greater, and you won't know, but like I trust that like this will work out. And then even then, like, will it work out? Like humans, we aren't that great. We aren't that smart. Like, sometimes like we might just kill all those wild pigs, and then like it didn't really balance out the way we thought it would, because we didn't think about this species that was going to come in and fill that spot or something, So
yeah, and I mean, like, we learn, we get better. It's not going to be perfect, but like particularly with feral hogs, it like in certain states they have to get rid of in some way or another 60 to 80% of the population every year to keep it from expanding exponentially. And that's something that like we know we can measure quantifiably.
Yeah.
I think it's a very tricky topic, because I myself am also a pacifist, and that extends beyond human life onto animal life. That being said, I do think there are justifiable applications of violence in the name of protection.
I think so too, but only in like terms of like self-defense. Like if my life is going to come, if you're going to cause me harm, like I may have the right to cause you harm, to stop you from causing me harm.
And how does that concept extend ecologically to you? Past your own literal body, because I mean, like with ground nesting bird species, they don't have a form of self-defense against feral hogs.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring feral hogs to this land.
Yeah.
Like probably my ancestors did, or, the ancestors of, our culture at large, even if it's not me or you or my great.
One of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my species did it. And, obviously there's a difference between like I did it and ancestors did it and people did it. Like those are all separate, and we should take ownership of that. I think it's a concept worth meditating on. I don't think there's an intrinsically right answer, but I do think, for me, I build my moral system around how can I do the least amount of harm? How can I have the most positive impact?
I get that too. I would say that's something. I don't know if you've heard the word utilitarian before.
I would say that I wouldn't say I'm sort of like cleanly utilitarian in the traditional sense, because utilitarianism often doesn't host empathy.
Yeah,
I would say I'm an empathetic utilitarian.
Utilitarianism, it would value like, killing these humans because this person gets an immense amount of joy from doing it. Like, it might actually hold up that argument.
And a utilitarian view, one can vary completely from another depending on what the end value is. And I think all of us functionally are utilitarian in some capacity, whether or not we own that label.
I definitely was like a lot, like very.
We all live to our own utility. Like the idea of pacifism above all else is in itself, when you take it from just an ideal to actualizing it, there is a necessity of utility to that. So I think it's a broad and sometimes unhelpful label because of its nondescriptness. I would also say I'm a communalist. I think I'm trying to unpack individualist culture that is so embedded in us from Western colonialism. And part of that communal view is that not only is, things that impact me not always the be-all, end-all. It's what impacts the system. It's what impacts my community.
Totally.
I'm willing to make personal sacrifice for the good of others.
Same.
And I think my morals reflect that.
Yeah.
That my view on invasive species is a communal view rather than empathetic, individualistic. Because if I only viewed it from an individual perspective, I could project my individualism onto those creatures and see no moral way for, the killing of invasive species, but viewing the collective system, I see that there's a lot of different individuals that have different needs and wants, and at some points they're just going to contradict, and it's about which one is going to have the longest lasting, least harmful positive impact.
Well, but I
For
think
me.
Right. I feel like, in a way, I don't know. I want to say, I'll just tell you, I do appreciate the idea of wanting to maximize the amount of good, right?
Yeah.
Like not wanting to do the least amount of, you want to do the least amount of harm while creating the maximum amount of good for whoever, and anybody, right, around us in the ecosystem. However, I think what I'm getting stuck on with that thought process, right, is because I come from it, I'm a Black, Indigenous, queer, total liberationist, right? So I'm an abolitionist as well, which means I believe that we need to start at abolition and work from there. Which means if I recognize that these are sentient beings, those wild hogs, even if they're invasive, no matter how much harm they're causing, right? Or say my friend Anna over there, if she starts to attack people, even though she's causing harm, I don't have the right to take her life. I have the right, what we should do as a community is come together and figure out what do we do for Anna? Maybe why did she get to that point anyway where she started attacking people? Is it a mental health thing? Whatever. But I believe our systems look a lot different in a community when we value that community and we value people as individuals, not valuing individualism as a whole, but valuing somebody's individual life of their own, say, because another thing, say with invasive or endangered populations in general, people try we label them as endangered or threatened or something like that, but when say species that are endangered and then threatened down to or threatened and endangered all the way down to 2 of them left, what humans tend to do is we try to breed them and find a way to help their population grow. But if we were really thinking about the individual needs of that animal, regardless of these species boundaries that we label everybody in, is that person, is that bird, is that animal having a life that's worth living? Is that the life that they would probably prefer to live?
Honestly, I think it's time to go on pandas a little bit. I know it's a controversial take, but
because
if they don't want to fuck, don't make them fuck.
Yes, exactly. Because we know some slugs, they just leave around sperm packages for other female slugs to pick up. Some species don't even necessarily have
the thousands of endangered species we could save with the funding that we spend on panda bears it is a challenging frustration to reconcile as an environmentalist.
But these things right, or that's just that in general, right, of endangered species, should we look at these species as species to save when there's individuals who are alive in front of us right here, and we value their experience. That's why we're trying to make sure that there's maybe some more of them around to commune with. But if we get lost in the fact that the numbers, say there's only 100 humans left and aliens come down and they're well, your population's dwindling, let's concentrate camp all of you and breed you until there's 1 million of you, because that's what it means for a species to prosper or for a species to thrive. And so what I want to question for people is like their relationship with animals, which you already have like questioned a little bit, a lot of it, I'd say. Reducing your consumption of animals.
And I mean, I went vegan when I was 14. I've been functionally vegan a long time. The reintroduction of like eggs and honey from ethical sources has been sort of an evolution for me in deconstructing the colonial ideas that have inspired the sort of strict vegan diet. And for me, I try to eat as low on the food chain as possible, as local as possible, with as little harm. Like you can be vegan, but like, do you think less insects are harmed in the farming of sugarcane? Do you think less people are harmed in the farming of sugarcane than the collection of honey from a local farmer who cares for their bees? Like, bees aren't like pigs and cows where they're penned and they can't escape. Like, if you treat bees bad enough, they fly away and they start a new hive somewhere else. So I think exploring those complexities is I think really where the question is, because it's all gray. Like with species or the classification of endangered, like I think there is a real arbitrarity to how we classify, and classifications are tools we use to understand and communicate with each other. So I see the value in them, and I understand their application and why they're used. And I think it's hard to have one definitive view on what's right or wrong with the treatment of, invasive or endangered species, because you can't draw a one-to-one parallel to human life, and
I guess I'm saying like why even why single out like endangered or invasive in general, like if we're just talking about animals as a whole, like they still count. I guess is what I'm saying. Even if they're endangered or invasive, like we should still be doing our best, practicable and possible to make sure that we aren't exploiting anybody. Like in the instance with like I would say like people who are saying like, oh, we can't eliminate all the deaths, like we can't stop all the killing. For me, like that's actually where I was before I went vegan. Like I went because I was saying like, well, if I can't, like I'm gonna drive and I'm gonna hit bugs, like so I might as well like participate in society and like do whatever everybody else is doing. Like I'm not gonna take that hit socially either, because I was seeing it as like it's all or nothing for me. Like if I can't do it all, then. But what I was missing, I think, was that it's about the stance on anti-exploitation first, and then like what comes after that is then veganism. Because, like,
I completely agree. I think we have to change our systems, and like obviously you should live out your morals, but I think it's like if there's something you're going to put focus into. I spent a long time trying to change people's minds in one-on-one individual conversations. I found a lot of frustration and a lot of hitting walls.
Totally.
I think the important thing is to change your system. Like, would I prefer it if my friends didn't eat chicken nuggets? Yes. But I'm not going to blame someone who lives within a system for surviving in that system.
Totally,
Like, I want to pass legislation to hold Tyson Foods accountable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame a poor person for eating the food that is easy and affordable.
Yeah, no.
And I think, like, building systems that, like, protect people, protect animals, and protect the environment is what I prioritize. Most of the advocacy I do now is around intersectional climate work, advocating for things like Green New Deal, for greenways and bike paths, and decolonization. Fuck ICE.
Decolonization, period.
And like, I'm still gonna live my values as vegan enough, close to vegan in my personal life, and I'm gonna show up to ICE protests. And if somebody likes to hunt for fun, that's not the hill I'm gonna die on. I'm gonna encourage them to hunt species that are invasive. My other thing with invasives is
Okay.
If you let them, sort of wreak havoc as they will run out of like food sources. They will burn through the environment, and eventually that population itself will starve and die. It's not preventing harm. It's pushing it farther. It's prolonging it. It's elongating it. Sure, this generation and the next generation might do fine, but when the havoc has been wreaked to the point where they don't have anything left, it's not like they're not going to suffer. And I think that's one of the key distinctions of an invasive species, is that their consumption and their expansion is not sustainable.
I get that too, but I think
I do probably gotta go.
No
But
worries.
if you want my Instagram,
Here, let me give you a card. This is our card for well, it's just like it has the documentary stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I also want to. I want to urge you to look
I was
into
in
like.
Ravencore for years. There's constant learning to do, and I love conversations.
Yeah.
You should probably talk to someone else. I'm so plugged
No worries,
in.
you're good. I just wanted to I wanted to leave you with a couple things because like I hear you say like, vegan enough and stuff like that. And I do get how like a lot of veganism is like the white veganism, and it's kind of rampant and takes the height of, what people see. But when you decolonize veganism, right? I don't know if you've ever looked into decolonizing veganism as a term.
Big time.
But like what we talk about is, how it's actually ingrained in indigenous cultures to be, plant-based out of an ethical stance, or, reduce these consumptions from an ethical stance. And that comes from the idea that like, animals, they are
Indigenous
sentient.
cultures aren't a monolith.
No.
There were lots of indigenous cultures that, were built around, like hunting and traveling with the species they hunted, like bison. But they also used every part of the animal. They respected the animal. They prayed to the animal.
And then it was also out of a necessity situation.
Yeah.
Where
and there
when
are
we're
other
in,
animal or other, indigenous cultures, I think, should be, spoken about. Not as a monolith in any
totally not.
setting.
As an indigenous person myself, I hate when people do that. And it's like, I don't know. I guess I want to leave you with the idea that the same way that we have solidarity for people who, in racism, feminism, like veganism is just like one of those isms.
Yeah.
I believe it really does have to be kind of all or nothing, because if you like say accepting the eggs from the chicken who is humanely raised, like
I don't know. I'm not going to tell my friend Marcy to get rid of her pet chickens.
Well, no, like
and when
take
they
care
lay,
of her.
And when they lay eggs, I will probably eat them.
But like if I were to like inform you about how like those chickens, like when they produce those eggs, they could really use the nutrients from them to actually live.
That's true in the wild, but like my friend Marcy like buys nutritionally competent chicken feed. Like they get fed, scraps that are good for their diet, and they get their full nutritional needs met. Like in theory, if that egg sits around long enough, they will eat it. Sometimes they won't, and it'll go bad, and it'll attract pests, and there'll be rats.
I know chicken sanctuaries. They fry them up for them because like they know that they get it. They're not necessarily going to do it themselves. They do like it a little more when it's fried up, but
I think if the chicken is cared for, if it has its nutritional needs met, and it lives a happy life, eat the fucking eggs.
I think the only thing I would add to that list though is like, and they're not viewed as a resource, because to get eggs from them, like that is you gaining a benefit per se, like a resource from them.
I mean, yes, and they gain the benefit of living a comfortable life where they're loved and they get cuddles and they're protected from predators.
But they're also still being used. Like they're not gaining a full personhood, I would say, like from the person who's taking care of them, right? Because if the person who's taking care of them, if the egg production ceased and they thought maybe, okay, well, there's no real point anymore.
And I mean that I disagree with, right? Like when I if ever I eventually get the chance to own a house, I would love to have pet backyard chickens. I'll make sure to feed them well and take care of them well. I'll probably eat the eggs, and when they're old, I'll let them live till they hit old age, and they die of natural causes. Like
if that was like, say if that was like a human, would you do the same? Like if they
I mean,
like,
I'd have a conversation
because
with them because
when we think about what it really
they can
is,
talk,
like an egg,
but-
right? Like an egg is an ovary
Yeah.
or whatever.
I mean,
like-
there are people who eat their own placenta, and I think
totally,
that's,
but that
I
comes
think
from
that's
your
fine.
own body.
Well, the moment I can have a conversation with a chicken about it, I'll let
And
them
get consent,
decide.
then you'll take the eggs.
Yeah, and
Because like
yeah,
if we
I
don't
mean-
have consent from the thing is
But,
like,
I mean, there's
consent,
also-
ability, like all
Yeah,
these things.
I've got like 20 more minutes, and I gotta get some flour.
Okay, no worries. I urge you to look into like, or to relearn, I guess, the veganism. You know, it isn't a purity thing. It's not about perfection, but it is being against exploitation in all facets of the form, and that does even mean like, you know, rejecting the eggs that your friend chickens produce, because like those chickens are only there because of a system of exploitation. So if you accept a product of that exploitation, it's still just doing so.
And I would encourage you to explore the gray areas. I think any moral view set that has hard lines is probably not.
Well, it's like, it's just like, I'm not,
I would encourage you to explore flexibility.
anti-racists are like, you don't accept any racism. Anti-exploitation, you don't accept any exploitation. So why would I accept or look into accepting some forms of exploitation?
I don't view it as innately exploitative. I think
it is though, because like if the egg, like chickens, like for that chicken to be there, to produce the eggs, like all the male brothers are slaughtered and macerated, like at time of birth or at time of hatching. So like exploitation already inherently goes into these systems. Like that's why they're systems of exploitation, is because it's so terrible. So like you have to like, I just see it as like abstaining from the exploitation in all forms of it, instead of like, oh, it's a plant-based diet and I'm like, you know, I'm 99% there. I'm anti-exploitation, and that means I have to be 100% plant-based, because I'm not placing anybody else's interest below my own.
I do hear that. I think maybe revisit the concept of honey. I do truly think
but
that.
Bees are exploited too. I also think that bees are exploited. So, because they clip the queen's wings so that the other bees stay near. Even if they are like, you know, on a big farm, like they're still being used. They're seen as a resource. Somebody's making money off of them. So there's the only benefit or the reasoning for doing so or taking care of them is the profit they get.
Why don't you extend the concept one step farther to plants?
Because plants don't have sentience. Like we have a
How do you know
Cambridge
that?
Declaration of Sentience for animals.
I mean,
and we see that what we see with plants is that plants react to stimuli.
Absence of evidence does not mean evidence of absence.
Oh,
like,
yeah, of
for
course.
example, with trees, like we've learned in the past 20 years that they have complex communication
Totally.
systems. They can tell the difference between like not only whether or not a tree is related to them, but how closely they're related. They share resources. They exist on an entirely different plane than we do. Like, and the more we learn, the more we find sentience in what we deemed not sentient.
Exactly, right.
And I think like the same way that you talk about species being arbitrary, drawing the line arbitrarily between plant and animal, I think fails to explore the concept to its fullest extent. And at the end of the day, you have to eat.
My issue comes from when like people typically only bring up plant life when they're worried about animal life, like, or not being able to benefit off of animal life. Because when we think about plant life, like we feed plants and stuff to animals for them to grow so we can eat them.
Yeah,
like
and
less
like I
plants
said,
would be harmed too. Like
I eat as low on the food chain as possible, as local as possible.
But even
And-
that saying, right? Like low, like, and you told me you don't view like animals necessarily on a scale like that.
But you just said we feed animals plants so that they can produce food, and I'm
Because
saying
that's
like
all we know right now. It's how to do. Like if we had another way without plants to, I'd probably be advocating for that too if it wasn't exploitative.
I'd be happy to keep talking another time.
Okay, no worries.
You can have my contact if you want. I gotta buy flour.
What was your Instagram? Just tell me. I'll watch it too.
It's
unless you don't want to know.
It's my name, Rowan, and then Ann with periods between every letter.
Okay, perfect.
Reach out.
I will. Have a great day. All right, I'm switching up.
Hello, chats. Hello, YouTube and TikTok. Just had a conversation in person with somebody. We're having off-camera conversations as well right now. I'm going to check and see if somebody wants to come on camera really quick. Any chance you want to come on camera?
Yeah, would you like to talk on camera?
We could just switch it over here. You don't have to. Okay. Nope, somebody wasn't quite ready to come on camera. Want to respect their privacy. Thank you everybody here who's joined us. We're in Portland, Oregon at the PSU Farmers Market. I want to ask, most folks here probably support some justice or liberation movement. Maybe you're a feminist or an anti-racist or an anti-capitalist. I want to ask, why not expand your liberatory scope, your liberatory principle to include our fellow earthlings that we share the planet with? Why not boycott their exploitation and oppression when we can? Let's have a discussion about that. Somebody says that isn't a comparison. I'm not sure what you're talking about on TikTok there. Somebody says freedom in general, people die for it. I'm not sure what your point is. There are people who die trying to liberate others, but I'm not sure what your point is. Leave another comment in the chat. Everybody who's here, double tap that screen. Like the live and share it as well. If you have somebody who you think would be interested, share it with them too. Somebody says we need to be standing up for the oppressed. I agree with you. We should be standing up against oppression and standing in solidarity with marginalized and oppressed people. Total liberation for all is the only path forward in this world. Somebody says, or Indica's leaving some green hearts in the chat. Thank you. Vegans, do please leave green hearts in the chat to get the algorithm moving. I want to ask, what is the ethical justification for exploiting animals for their flesh, or their eggs, or their milk, or their skin, or for entertainment or testing? What would the justification for that violence and exploitation be? Let's talk about it. Yes, thank you to the vegans. I see all of you. Hello to Spooky. Hello to everybody who's leaving comments. Somebody says vegan is a scam. What do you mean? Let's talk about what veganism is. As we define it here, veganism is a lived principle. It's an applied ethic that opposes animal exploitation. So we are living in alignment with a principle against exploiting our fellow earthlings. Does that make sense? We make choices like watching a nature documentary rather than going to the zoo or the aquarium. We make choices like purchasing the tofu or the tempeh or the beans instead of purchasing a piece of an animal or their secretions. We'll purchase the cruelty-free shampoo rather than the one that is tested on animals. We won't go out in the forest and shoot an animal in the head for our pleasure or for needless calories that we could have got elsewhere. We wouldn't do any of these things because animals' bodies are their own. Somebody says, do you have your COVID shot? That's not relevant to the conversation.
This person would like to talk to you for like 4 minutes.
4 minutes. We got a quick one. Okay.
I'm talking about decolonization. Already, we're there.
Okay. I want to ask you, have you thought about the relationship between decolonization and the way that we exploit animals today?
I don't think I'd ever thought of a correlation between the two, but I can definitely see that
Right.
could happen, yeah.
One thing that could be an interesting train of thought is, have you thought how these animals got here? The animals like pigs and cows and the birds that humans exploit as well. Have you considered, were they always on the continent or were they brought here? What do you think?
I feel like we've kind of they might have kind of already been here, but we've definitely migrated more of them towards
Right.
the farming side of things and the killing side of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. Do you think those animals that humans are using today, like cows and pigs, maybe fish too, do you think they have a capacity to have a personality?
Yeah, I think everything has a personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything that us humans in 2026 need from them? Obviously, there was a time like when we're cavemen, we're like trying to survive, but do you think there's anything that we need from them today?
Besides just like the concept of consuming them for nutrition purposes.
Right.
And I know people with like pets, like they have pet pigs and
Right.
pet cows, and I can understand some people might think that's wrong, and of course it's wrong to eat them, but I feel like they still serve their purpose in that way.
Right. Do you think that animals like pigs and cows, do you think they want to keep living their life in general?
If they're happy.
If they're happy, right?
Yeah.
If we don't make them suffer, like maybe if they're in a field, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask a challenging question. Maybe there's a bowl of lentils and pasta, maybe, it's seasoned up right, it's tasty, and it's in front of you, but there's also a cow in front of you. Do you think if you could have gotten all the nutrients you needed from the lentil pasta bowl, do you think it could be justified to slit the cow's throat to kill them? What do you think?
I don't think it's justified to kill anything, but I'm not a vegetarian and I'm not vegan, so I feel like
Do you think there's a tension there between your kind of feelings and your principle and then your actions every day?
Yeah. I wouldn't say like when I eat a burger I'm like feeling sad, but then when I'm watching videos online of like something happening to cows or them being like held in fields, like I definitely listen to things that are like buy more from like grass-fed cows rather than just like organic or things like that. But
and those farming systems, they do make a difference, right? Because maybe the cows aren't suffering for their whole life, right? They're not in like a small space, they're not confined. But in that case with the lentil pasta bowl, let's say the cow's really happy, right? They're in the field, there's a lot of grass, there's a lot of space. Do you think we could find a justification to slit their throat or kill them if we didn't need to?
not for me personally, but for if other people were to choose to eat the cow, I don't.
It's hard to judge others, but
Yeah, for me personally, I would choose if there was like a happy cow in front of me compared to a lentil bowl that was like steaming and ready for me. I would eat the lentil bowl because like I see the cow at face value, and it's like it's harder for me to choose to eat it at that point.
I see what you mean. Do you think somebody could say you make a similar calculation or a similar choice at the grocery store most days? What do you think?
I think it's harder for I think it definitely the people that are vegetarian and vegan and decide not to eat cows and like go to grocery stores and not buy meat, they're definitely kind of thinking about it from the point of view of that cow's in front of my face. I don't want to do that.
They're more connected to that process.
Yeah, but I think for people that don't, it's not necessarily that they're like
they don't have malicious intent, but it's been kind of hidden behind closed doors. We don't think about it often.
Yeah, I don't think people think about it often. I think it would be very hard to try to convince everyone to think that way, because I also think for other health reasons, like people might need to consume more like red meat or like chicken or things like that.
Yeah, like in a situation of necessity of like they're going to starve otherwise, we can find justification to maybe be violent in some ways. Like if somebody was coming up to me and they attacked me, I could defend myself, but I couldn't just go attack somebody without that necessity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to ask, do you think in your personal life, because not everybody is as open-minded as you, sometimes we reach people who are like, I don't think animals are conscious, or they don't share these beliefs that you do.
Okay.
But I want to ask someone like you who knows that animals are conscious, if we don't change, who will?
That's a good point. Yeah. I don't know. I think I try to make more conscious decisions to not eat meat at times, but just being completely honest with myself, I don't know if I could like forever never eat meat.
What do you think your obstacle would be that would hold you back from saying, I know animals are conscious and they suffer, and I have another choice that's available to me? What would stop you from saying, I'm just going to stand against this injustice, like I'm sure you stand against all the rest of them? You know, what would be your obstacle?
I guess like selfish reasons, kind of just, and I think that's how it goes for everybody. Like they might not be able to admit it that, I'm just going to eat meat because I like it, but I think it comes down to just selfish reasons.
And I don't deny that, like when we eat those products, we get a lot of enjoyment. Like I did as well when I was participating. I want to ask you to envision a scale. And on one side, you do have these benefits, right, that you get. Maybe it's a little bit convenient, or gives you lots of taste pleasure. Maybe it tastes really nice, right? But if you have that on one side of the scale, and then on the other side, you have an animal's life and their suffering, as a person, what do you weigh up with your principles higher?
Between an animal suffering and what?
And then on the other end was your pleasure. Maybe like 5, 10, 15 minutes of pleasure versus the animal's life. It's a hard question.
I definitely think the animal suffering is the thing that weighs on me the most, yeah.
Have you heard of veganism? And if so, what does it mean to you?
I just believe veganism means to not eat meat or dairy of any kind.
Okay. That's pretty close. That's what most vegans do, right? But we define it here as just a principle against exploiting them, using them for any reason. It's the same, although we have been talking about food, I'll ask you about entertainment because that's another realm that we discuss with folks. Do you think it would be more fair, for instance, to watch a nature documentary on the elephants rather than buy a ticket to the zoo and contribute to them being in that tiny enclosure?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just about making those type of swaps when we live vegan. It's just asking if I have an option to opt out and respect my fellow earthlings as individuals with their own bodies and their own autonomy, then why not?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with that. I think my question to you is, do you judge or look differently at others who consume meat? Because like there are vendors here who are selling like their meat products and and like their work, and do you feel like what they're doing is less than others?
No, we're not necessarily here to look down on anyone. We're just hoping to have reflections and discussions with our community. We also have organizations that we like to point to, like Transformation, which work with those farmers because we don't want them to suffer either, right?
Yeah.
It works with them to say, convert that chicken shed into a shed where they can grow mushrooms. And so they can support their families, but also not contribute to this violent system. So we support our farmers, but we are trying to convert the world or shift the world to a more plant-forward approach, just because the animals, they feel just like us. I want to ask, this is a challenging one, how many more animals would you prefer are exploited for you personally in the future?
None.
None?
Yeah.
Do you think leaving this conversation, living a vegan ethic, would that be closest to that goal, that principle that you have?
Yeah, I think that I'm going to leave this conversation, and I do appreciate this conversation. I do think I'm going to leave it with like more sense in mind to like my future and like using meat in less consumption and over time, not at all.
Yeah, and we know that I'm just a person on the street, right? We just met each other. I don't intend or expect to change your whole life, but we are here to plant the seed and just get our community thinking about something that we don't think about often. But we also give out a resource card that shows some of the practices that are standards within zoos or animal testing or farms, and it allows people to watch it and then make the informed choice afterwards and say, do I want to contribute or do I want to oppose it?
Okay.
Would you be interested in taking that card?
Yes.
I really appreciate your time. You're super open-minded.
Oh, I appreciate you, and thank you for having a very like peaceful, nice
Oh yeah,
conversation.
we're looking to have like dialogue with our community. We're not trying to yell at people. Debates get too contentious. I don't love that energy.
I was hesitating a lot, but I don't know what he went, but he convinced me, and I was like, okay, so.
I hope the energy's been better than the contentious debates can be.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll show you this QR code. When you scan that, it does take you to. You can just take the card, so you don't have to scan right now.
Let me scan it too, because I know I'm going to lose it.
Oh, perfect. And this just takes you to a website called watchdominion.org. It's free. And it just has that documentary I was telling you about.
Okay.
Because knowledge is power. We're just trying to spread, power to our communities because there's things that have been hidden from us, and that's really not fair.
Yeah.
Like, we deserve to know so that we can make our own decision.
I completely agree.
Anyway, thank you so much for stopping. You have a great day.
I said 4 minutes.
I know. I'm sorry for taking your time. We had a great conversation. A very open-minded individual.
Awesome. Do you want to sign? I don't know if you want to sign.
Let's see if we can get one for Daniel.
Yes, let's try to. Oh, did you hit X?
I did not. I saw that happen mid-conversation.
Oh, so they ended our live for us. That's mean. TikTok does that sometimes.
Said you've been going.
Yeah.
I'm not good at the censoring. I need to practice.
No, it's not you. They're not transparent on what's allowed.
I did say GUN.
Oh, that might have been it.
That was like
pew
while
pew.
ago, though.
Ah, that's ridiculous. It's so
And
annoying.
Some troll who goes and reports it.
Yes,
Ugh.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna go grab that.
Okay. Hey guys, YouTube, what's up? TikTok died, but we turned it back on. We'll see if people come back in. I am VSL for TikTokers. We're anti-animal use. We're here to try to get a conversation. We're actually in the closing time of what we're doing, so yeah, we're probably maybe gonna get one more conversation. We'll see.
Get you one more.
We can give me one more. Oh, I love it. Let's try to get him in here. I would love to get one more. We've actually had a lot of good conversations, ran into actual real other vegans. We ran into some people who call themselves vegans, but they're they're not actually living those actions, which is interesting. That was interesting to walk into. But good conversations, you know? I think we've changed a lot of minds.
Animals deserve moral consideration.
I think that everything does.
I agree.
Sorry, I was reading a question and then I thought someone was coming up. Maybe you just tried one kind and you didn't like. There's lots of varieties out there to try and you might like it. Yeah, exactly. Like the thing is you have to be motivated. Do you want to continue to exploit animals, or do you see them as a someone and you want to find those alternatives? When I first went vegan, I was so excited to find alternatives because I was like, I want to participate in culture, but I don't want to demand someone's exploitation. So when I found that I could make it myself, I would get so excited. I would make it, I would share it with people, I would spread the recipe around. I don't know. I feel like most vegans go through that period as well when they learn how to make those alternatives that they loved as when they were younger. But then like today, what's crazy is like you can actually find a lot of these pre-made now. There's so many alternatives. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to anything that you take from someone, you're going to have to exploit them unless you get their FRI's consent. They're fully informed, specific, retractable consent, right? There's specific consent. So what is vegan food? Unless you're referencing crops, and then, yes, we should improve how we grow and harvest our crops, but that doesn't justify exploiting and enslaving someone on purpose. Yeah, going vegan is really the best thing you can do. It's really an inaction because you already spend that time thinking about what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, what you're going to use as shampoo, conditioner, what you're going to use as soap, what are you going to use as cleaning stuff. You already spend that time debating on which brand you're going to do. You do research on those brands. Just look for a vegan option. It's really no different in energy. You seriously just move your hand or you walk down a slightly different aisle. That's simple. And it's all out of that motivation of just not wanting to exploit someone. Imagine yourself as the victim. And now you have the power as the oppressor to make change. So make the change that you would want your oppressor to make. Are animals related to us? Do they share things with us like sentience, that ability to experience life and make preferences on those experiences? Right? Do they make preferences to stay comfortable and avoid harm, just like you? Then what justifies exploiting them when they care about what happens to themselves, when they inherently care for their life as much as you do? So, yes, I understand that this doesn't directly affect you because you're not the exploited one, but you're the oppressor, and you not caring is why all oppression in the past has gone on for as long as it did. The people that could have done something stood by and did nothing. If not you, then who? If not when, or if not now, then when, right? If you see something is wrong, stop supporting it. It's that simple. Yeah, scraping cows is wrong. That's how you get dairy. She must have a baby. She's a mammal just like us. Humans only produce milk when they have a baby. It's the same thing for cows, and they're very maternal. So when we separate them, we force a family on them, and then we break them apart. That trauma lasts. They cry for each other, both baby and mama. And this is taxing on their bodies, so they wear out faster, and they're treated like just machines, and they're thrown away like nothing. How would that feel to be someone abused, having your baby stolen, and then thrown away like you're a piece of garbage? How is that ever respectful? Okay. Yeah, we do trade off. There's a whole group of us. We're a big team. There's like 9 or 10 of us. Yes, I agree. Paying someone to grape it's like paying a hitman, It's like you're not willing to get your hands dirty in the immoral acts that you're going to do, so you pull someone in there with you. Like, just don't even demand the immoral act. It's funny that people take the effort to tell me they're leaving. I mean, just leave. I know you said that already. You think there's more to life than animals, but we're here for them because they care about themselves. Just like if you were the victim, I'd be here for you because you care about yourself.
You mentioned you guys came back and apologized very personally.
Oh, they want to talk to. Do you want to?
I think. I don't know.
Whoever wants to.
Oh. Someone says.
Also, if it's wrong for cows to get nose rings, yeah, humans are allowed. I don't get it.
Well, in one case, a human put the nose ring on themselves, and in the other case, a human put a nose ring or a restraint device on somebody else's nose so that they can control them. So that's actually the difference. Someone says animals do not care about death. They simply want to avoid death because of evolution. So they want to avoid it, but they don't care about it? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What we know, animals, they think, they feel pain, they dream, they form connections, they have personalities, so you should definitely care what happens to them because they care about what happens to themselves. Someone says, I'm leaving, this is not worth my time. Okay, goodbye. We like to talk to open-minded individuals who are against exploitation in all forms of the case. They do not think, oh no, death is so scary. Well, yeah, but if, like, you could stab somebody and they might not be thinking, oh, death is so scary. They might just be thinking, like, that hurt. Don't do that again. All right? Yeah, of course they care about living just like we do. Yes, just like we do. So, like, what justification do we have to take their life? Or because, we think it's better?
Do you want me to take it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll do it together.
A natural reaction to fight or flight. All animals do. Humans and other animals. We all have that reaction.
They're saying that because somebody was saying animals don't care about death, but they avoid it because of evolution. I'm like,
What?
so they don't care about it, but they do avoid it? Like,
The only reason why we care about it is because of
I was like-
evolution.
and then they're like, well, they're not thinking death is scary. Like, I'm like, yeah, when somebody stabs you, you're not necessarily thinking death is scary.
No,
you're
you
just
think
thinking,
that
like,
hurts
don't hurt me,
Yeah,
don't stab me.
Exactly. The
Just
whole
like they
reason
are.
to feel pain is to get away from your predators.
You say, my justification is they aren't people. So, like, they don't look like you or what?
Yeah,
Because,
what is
like,
it?
They aren't people. I call them people. I
Yeah,
call
they're
animals people all
They're
the time.
nations of people.
Some people think that animals are people, so you can't just say they're not people. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't matter if they literally think the words, I'm scared of death, right? They avoid harm. That's what we do. Humans are not that intelligent unless we're told by other humans about things that they've discovered. So humans that have never been educated might not understand that they die too. So it's not until someone educates you, and we can't communicate with them, right? But we know that they want to avoid harm. We know that they want to continue to, they care about themselves when they are suffering. They make gestures and changes. Fish, for example, will literally soothe themselves if they're suffering.
Avoiding death is a natural instinct. You need more than that.
So is
Boy, that's what you
humans
said.
do the same thing. How do you know humans are sentient?
The point is, animals, we know they're sentient. We've declared they're sentient. They have feelings. They think. They care about what's happening to them, right?
In fact-
So there's no justification to take their life. What? Because you want a meal or you feel like it's necessary? We're all taught that it's necessary. What we're telling you right now is that it's not necessary. Animal use is not necessary. That's why we're anti-animal use.
Yep.
Because there's no need for it. There's no justification for it.
You can't get real consent.
Exactly. And even if it is necessary, it's still wrong to use somebody else's body for your benefit.
Exactly. Your body is your body. It's not for anybody else. Unless you
Other
consent.
animals eat each other. It's like other animals survive in necessity situations.
Yeah.
Survival. Okay? It's a tough world out there.
Yeah.
You go to the store.
What justifies your actions, right? Do you need to demand that someone be exploited for you, or can you just move your hand in the grocery store? Can you walk down a different aisle?
Someone says, what if cows want to be eaten?
That's a silly thing.
That is a really silly question. They don't.
Have you ever seen slaughter footage? They run.
Yeah, a wild animal doesn't ask for consent because they live in a survival situation.
Again, if humans were not in a human society, they would live just the same as other animals. We are no different from them. We just have the advantage of some knowledge in some fields.
Someone says they don't have to justify eating animals because they're not human. That's human supremacy.
Yeah.
So if you are, not in favor of hierarchy and abusing power, you're going to have to get rid of that human supremacy and start treating other species with the same moral consideration that you do humans.
What do 100% of humans have that other animals don't that justifies this? Nothing.
Someone says, we are made to eat meat. That is actually factually untrue. Please look it up before you start spouting random facts in the comments.
Interesting that we thrive when we eat more plants and fewer animal products. Interesting that. We live longer and have higher quality years.
Someone says, I think humans are supreme compared to a dog or a cow or a fish.
Oh, right. Okay, right on. Cool.
There's no reason that humans are more superior. Some people would say that this thinking originated when, taxonomy was really big, and, people are trying to ascribe certain human importance to things like reasoning and stuff like that, or bipedalism, like being able to walk on two legs. Yeah. But what we found as time goes by, these are not human, exclusive traits. There are other animals who walk on 2 feet. There are other animals who can reason, right? Like we see even bearded dragons learn from other bearded dragons when they just watching them.
Dude, the squirrels in front of my house.
Exactly.
They only used to pick up one peanut. One squirrel was like, I'm getting as many peanuts as possible. Started putting 2 peanuts in their face. Now I see all the squirrels trying to mimic that. They're like, oh, 2 peanuts. That's so much smarter.
The things that humans typically think they're better than other species for or superior to other species for, it's actually not a human trait that, it's actually just a trait that earthlings share, because earthlings are living on the earth together. So what you should do is, dismantle that human supremacy, that human speciesism, and, start treating other animals and other species with moral consideration, because there's no reason not to.
There's no reason not to. And if you were the victim, you're the one that's a feeling being. Maybe you're not as intelligent as your oppressor. You would still want to be respected and not exploited.
Someone said,
love the green heart.
The real question, if you only had enough medicine for the animal or the human, who do you give the medicine to? Whoever I'm connected to more.
Yeah.
If that human is Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, I'm sorry. That the animal is getting the medicine every day, because
they can't speak up for themselves, defend themselves, whereas a human can often speak up for themselves, not always, but most often can.
And regardless, it depends on the situation. Just like if you were in a house fire and there's a random old man in your apartment building at the top versus 3 of your pets in your apartment close to the top. You would probably save your 3 pets before you save the old man at the top of the building, because or at the bottom of the building, regardless of how easy it is to save either. You would probably save the person or the people who you have more intrinsic value to.
Yes. Exactly. That's why the value system isn't about the respect, right? Because I value Elvin way more than I value any of you in the chat, right? Except for the vegans. I value vegans too. But the non-vegans, right? I value Elvin way above you, right? That doesn't give me the right to exploit you, right? Just because my value system says that you're worth less to me than Elvin.
And it doesn't make it right for her to leave you in the burning building over me. It just sucks. It's not
just my value system.
That's just the way it is.
Oh, okay. Yep. Let's go ahead and grab everybody. I was hoping we'd get another conversation. We got 120 in there for a second in TikTok.
I probably leave the vegan in, so it's fair. Yeah. See, because you don't have any intrinsic value connected to the vegan, so what you're saying is just following the logic.
Exactly. You're just following exactly.
You gotta act like you're saying something different, even though you're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Do you guys want to be interviewed? I just saw you guys sit down. Do you guys want to be interviewed? Okay. All right. Let's get the team in here. We'll wrap it up.
Oh, yeah.
Are you vegan? You are vegan? Come on in. Daniel's talking to some people that were sitting by us. I just thought I'd invite them to come to have a conversation because they were watching and maybe they'd like to hear what we have to say. It doesn't matter, actually. It's more like we need our neighbors to start stepping up and living in alignment with their own principles, because we want this world to be fair for everybody, not just those that can speak up for themselves. That's not right. Yeah, show them your sign. This is Daniel's sign. He's been holding this up. And the other side, go for it. And then the other side says, why aren't you vegan? And actually, he's been getting a lot of good reactions today. Like, I'm honestly one of those vegans that gets kind of phobic of us using the V word, and he proved me wrong today. So kudos to Daniel. That's Daniel Broccoli over there. So I'm VSL, Vegan Stoner Lady. You can find me on all platforms, but please follow Anti-Animal Use. We go live. We try to go live every week, but we might be cooling down to like once a week, just so that we can recoup and try to participate in other activism in our neighborhoods, because there's a lot of us. There's a lot of vegan groups here, and we want to support everybody. So please go check out, I believe it's Rats is the other group that we're trying to get other people to go check out and go do more activism. Yes! Please, if you can get active, be active, whether it's online, making comments, sharing a post, supporting another activist that's out there. But mostly, if you can, just talk to people, try to make a difference. And we just really appreciate you being here and supporting us, because it makes a difference for us. So kudos to the vegans in the chat. Thank you to the mods for keeping it safe. And I'm going to pass the mic around so everyone can say hello and goodbye.
I'm Minx, militant_Minx on Instagram and TikTok, and I had a lot of good conversations today.
Hello, I'm Luke. Thank you all for being here. Please follow Anti-Animal Use on all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Hello, everybody. I'm Enigma. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you to the vegans and the mods. So important to keep that chat somewhat free of bigotry. If you're interested in learning more about the intersection between human liberation movements and beyond human justice and the liberation of our fellow Earthlings, please visit totalliberationnow.org. You can also connect with Total Liberation Now on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you found these conversations insightful, or maybe you're still reflecting on this topic, subscribe to Anti-Animal Use. We do this work regularly. We're having these conversations on a weekly basis.
Yeah, please come back whenever you can to be up in the comments or whatever. Veganism is often narrated as something that is a diet purely of just a diet, but it is definitely an anti-exploitation stance, and that means abolition in all forms of the case. And it's not hard to decolonize your perspective on these terms. Veganism is seen as something that is inherently white or accessible or expensive, but it's just a mindset. So look into it and figure it out.
I think my favorite non-vegan argument is when people say you're privileged to be vegan. Honestly, the greatest privilege that we have is our voice. Please use your voice for the animals now. We appreciate you guys being here. We've spoken with so many people. Many have pledged to be vegan today, and some are very open-minded. If we spend our whole life talking to people and we create some sort of impact, those people can create an impact. Never doubt your impact. We're powerful and you have a voice. The animals do not. Please speak up. We are Anti-Animal Use. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.
All right, see you guys.
You can go around it. Yeah, I got it.
All right, bye, guys.
It took a while for you too. I guess I could have